We're here for the Queen of Caves and Rats and Bats. Please welcome my guest this evening, Meat.
Hello. Is my cave getting good reception over here?
Yes, I think we are good. We had a quick frame thing during the transition, but I think we're all right now. Hello, Meat.
Hello, everyone. Hello, chat. Hello, and hello, Vtuber Talk. Hello, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. How are you tonight? Oh, and chat, by the way, let me know if I need to change any levels, background music, Meat's audio, or my own. Also, Meat, you seem to have drifted a bit to the left again.
How did I? I wonder how I drifted. Boop. Hold on. Let me. Whoop. Oh, wrong.
Whoa.
Whoa.
What were we saying about Scuff literally right before we went live?
Yep, right before. Am I back in the right spot?
You're good, but also you look suddenly a bit grainier. I'm not sure if you've changed something on your end.
I did not. Nothing has changed since the moment we... Oh, wait, actually, you know what? Your stream started, and I had your chat. Oh, hold on, let me just pop that. There we go. Hold on, I'm fixing it. I'm remedying the problem.
We're good. We're all good.
Bam. There we go. So now I should just have the chat popped out.
All right, we will see. Hopefully that corrects things. You're still coming in a little bit fuzzier than you. I know you have that wonderful fur pelt and everything, but we want to make sure that you're coming in at highest quality possible. So if necessary, we will restart the call. But for now, hi.
Yes, hello.
Well, first off, thank you so much for joining me this evening. For those of you who were listening in for the intro, we had your iconic theme, Rats and Bats, and I really have to start with some questions about this one because I've been to several of your streams for several weeks now. Actually, the way I got introduced to you in your content was one of my previous guests, Junk, was part of your Sonic the Hedgehog script reading, which we'll get to later. But
yes.
One of the first things that you hear when you tune into your streams is that Rats and Bats theme. So I need to ask, what's the origin of all that?
Okay, so Rats and Bats. It's funny because when it's almost like discussing the origin of Rats and Bats, you end up discussing the origin of Meat itself, Meat herself, you know? It is audio spliced together by Mariami Yuki. I should have had a link prepared, but I do have them linked in my panels and such. But they took audio from one of my first streams, which was an EverQuest stream, which is an old MMO. Are you familiar with it?
I am familiar with EverQuest and EverQuest 2. I have not played either, but I'm very familiar with their place in MMO history.
Gotcha. So, as I tend to do, I wanted to jump into EverQuest for a nostalgia hit, and one of the first quests was you had to kill rats and bats, and it was a very, very early stream. I certainly didn't think anyone would be interested in doing something like that for me, you know, taking my quotes and audio and cutting them up into a song. But I was surprised with it, and it's been a staple of streams ever since. I don't know why it's gonna take a lot to top Rats and Bats. I've got a couple of other original songs, another one done by Mariami Yuki, that I would like to eventually incorporate as like an ending theme, because it has a chiller kind of vibe to it. And I have one that was done by a fellow VTuber and friend as a birthday present, that takes quotes about me saying that, you know, meat, as if it was a currency, meat coin would be going to the moon. And so that's another song of like quotes cut up together, and that's another chiller song that I've used for an intro a couple times.
Ooh, I have not actually heard those, so I'm going to need to hear them sometime, and hopefully you're able to figure something out that works for you while still preserving the historical significance of Rats and Bats.
Yes. And, you know, I just don't know. You know, it's just one of those happy accidents, you know, but it's almost like I've got my meatheads. That's what I call the followers and chat and everything. And it's almost like I kind of got secondary unintentional mascots in the rat and in the bat.
Honestly, that's how some of the best things in life happen. Just
Exactly.
pure happy
And
accidents.
rats and bats both live in caves or in dark, drippy places. What better?
All right, you're still coming in a little bit grainy. Your audio is fine, but I want to make sure that your visuals are looking as good as possible. So let's hang up for just a sec. Folks in chat, we're not going to go offline or anything. Give us just a moment while we resituate things. That way we can get Meat looking as good as she can. So give me just a minute. I'll get you a new Video Ninja room.
All right, no problem.
Night and day. That looks so much
better. Good. Just a quick, sometimes you got to hang up and pick back up again.
As technology improves, some things change, but one thing that never truly seems to change is that turning it off and turning it back on again does just work.
I just can't imagine, you think 4,000 years in the future, that's still going to be the solution? That's still going to be the go-to?
I have to believe on some level, probably, because just the way a lot of systems and programs work is that, for whatever reason, either just startup-wise or that if something goes wrong in the process, that it doesn't usually happen at the beginning. Like, I do QA work professionally. That's my day job, actually. So I've seen stuff go crazy, and if it doesn't usually go wrong at the start, turning off and on again, usually at least temporarily will fix the issue, and hopefully things stay this way. I was actually mentioning just before we started, it's like, I've only had this problem once or twice, a couple times, usually happens a couple hours into stream, and then we get it out of the gate, and like I said, we were discussing scuff as something that happens, but you work through it.
I think we jinxed it a little bit. I think we had it too good. We had it too good.
Yes, indeed. But getting back to Rats and Bats, who was it that looked like John Travolta? I'm so curious.
It was an NPC. It was an NPC that looked like John Travolta.
And I'm guessing it was another NPC who...
which is like a race in, I almost said World of Warcraft, but no, a race in EverQuest.
And the woman who looked like she had Big Meat as well was probably also EverQuest. So was it all in this one glorious stream, or was this over a couple of EverQuest streams?
It was one stream. It was one magical stream.
Oh my goodness. Is the VOD of this available anywhere?
It is. The VOD is on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which is also Meat's Cave.
Awesome. I'm going to have to look that up, because now this feels... You mentioned it was one of your first streams, if not your first stream, but the fact that it's also the source for what is effectively your theme song makes it all the more historic. So I want to be able to go back and relive those iconic moments.
You too can have all your questions answered by observing the VOD.
Yes. And I suppose finding out now that your first stream was EverQuest, it fits with everything else that you've been doing now, because if I had to encapsulate your streaming genre, that you are a variety streamer, that you don't commit yourself to a single game, but I would say in general your aesthetic, for lack of a better term, is nostalgia games. Not quite retro games, because at least when I think retro, I think things in 80s, 90s, but you sort of have found your niche in the 2000 to 2010 era. That obviously you play things outside that window, but I feel like that's where your bread and butter is, and that's, one of your big things that we're going to get to, Silly Saturday, which just yesterday you were playing another entry from the Humongous Games library, Spy Fox. You play Toontown a fair bit. We're going to talk about that for sure. But EverQuest is definitely a product of that era as well. So everything fits together very nicely here. And just when you said EverQuest, I was like, oh, that makes more sense, honestly, than World of Warcraft or something that has continued to iterate. That, of course, you went back to something just a little bit more nostalgic. Not quite full retro, but just that era.
I hit a very odd pocket of early 2000s internet nostalgia. In a way, I feel like I scratch an odd itch. I scratch that itch in the back of your brain that you might not know you have yet.
But everyone has it, because everyone likes nostalgia. There's a reason that it works in cartoons, in movies, in media of all shapes and sizes. People like remembering their past, or at least, the highlights and positive memories of their past. And that's what nostalgia is based in. And so for the generation of people that are statistically most numerous on Twitch, that era of 2000 to 2010 is, I think, that right decade for, at least statistically speaking, where to hit most people for nostalgia.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not something I set out to do. I've always just been very much, I'm just gonna start and see where this takes me, and the ride has been going where it's going. But I never was like, oh, I'm gonna set out and I am gonna be this and I am gonna stream this type of specific, game niche or anything. But it's a nice, I don't know. I always say you never know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're gonna get. And I think that's just true.
So, I guess, gosh, there's a number of questions I want to ask. That's one of the worst things for me about it. I was like, I have a lot of questions. I'm going to get to them. But I suppose the basis of your Silly Saturday streams, like I mentioned, is Toontown. It's not what you play every Silly Saturday, but Toontown, of all the games that you play, that's one that is a bit more frequent than others and has become a bit more iconic, I would say, for you. And from what I understand, that is where Silly Saturdays began.
It is where Silly Saturdays began. Very much supposed to be another one of those, hey, I wanted to touch, because it was kind of like wanting to just, once I did EverQuest, I wanted something that would also kind of hit, I wanted something with, within that area. And then I was like, you know what, Toontown, I remember Toontown, and I remembered that, a lot of people were like me and only got to do the 3-day trial or whatever silly thing it was because it was really expensive back then.
Yeah, and, I never actually played Toontown myself. I saw the ads for it on TV all the time.
Yeah.
But it was never something I played.
Some of the ads are equally memorable.
So you mentioned that you'd done the 3-day trial, but I take it you had not played it with any regularity when you were younger.
No, because it was, like I said, it was not heavily paywalled, but $10 or whatever it was back then.
Yeah, it was a high subscription cost.
Oh yeah. And then you're, explaining, kids nowadays, it's not a blink of an eye, it's nothing, but explaining like, oh, I need money for internet thing was super foreign back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I found out I could dive back into it, and for free, and it was like, whatever, I was like, okay, we'll do this first stream. We'll see how it goes. And then we just had so much fun that I needed more, and then everyone needed more.
Now, the thing about the Toontown that you're playing is that it's not official Toontown. It is not traditional Toontown. It is not vanilla Toontown. This is it's a strange fan-modified, it's a delightful monstrosity. I can't think of any other way to put it because I don't think I've ever seen a fan almost recreated at this point MMO where they have somehow, I don't know how, basically all the source code, it seems, and that they've just put in mods left, right, and center. They've changed sound effects, they've changed BGM, they've changed environments, they've changed characters. this isn't just, Toontown happens to still be around and you have a subscription. It's not, someone revived Toontown with its base code and is letting it run. Someone has put time and effort into modifying Toontown into Meme Town almost at this point.
And that's just the one meme thing I play is a content pack, which is a boost pack, because I reached about 100 hours in Toontown just vanilla, just straight vanilla. And we were still having fun, but man, it's a little great, so you need to spice things up. So then we started adding in the content packs. And the fact that the Toontown community is so thriving in the year 2022 is just completely insane. You just would not expect it. And next thing you know, I had genuine Toontown fans coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
and
from Toontown and finding your stream.
Yeah. And then, seeing me, maybe hitting something that I can't solo in the game because, before that, occasionally someone in chat would jump in and help me. Or, but they were usually the people in chat were playing because they were watching me play. And so it's not like they were really a higher level or anything. So then I had genuine Toontown people coming in, helping me, being like, oh, I saw your stream. Do you need help doing this? Or, oh yeah, we'll run around with you and do this. And the next thing you know, I was building up a community of essentially Toontown regulars,
Definitely not what you
really
expected, but
great community. It's crazy.
Once again, happy accidents.
Yes. I think the happy accident, kind of like a caveman making fire.
Good analogy there. Also, so sorry. When we did the reset for the call, you got nudged back to the left again. Okay, there we go. Meet you there?
Yes. Am I here? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Had audio conk out for a second there. Was getting worried. It was like, All right, we're working through this though. So, of all of the different mods and quirks that you have added to Toontown, do you have a favorite?
I think my favorite quote unquote serious one where it's just genuinely enhancing the look of the game is probably there is one called Spectrum, which just has really nice music. A lot of it does get caught and muted because it does have like a couple like Daft Punk songs and stuff in it. But it's just, it's a very just chill, nicely colored content pack. But then my favorite one that, honestly, the meme pack gets updated very regularly. And they update things and change things very regularly. And so the Granddaddy meme pack, which I play pretty often, is definitely the silliest and catches people the most off guard because people halfway remember Toontown anyway from their childhood, so the memories are kind of blurry. And so then they walk into something that looks completely insane and has like Mario music or something, and they're just completely they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was what got me.
They have to recalibrate.
Because the first time that I tuned in for one of your Toontown streams, like I said, I've never actually played Toontown, so I don't know what should and shouldn't be there normally.
Exactly.
Rather, I suppose I know what should. I don't know what should be there, but I knew something that shouldn't be there, and I was watching, and suddenly I heard Banjo-Kazooie music, and I just had a little moment. I was like, "Wait a minute! There's no way that Toontown got the license for this. This has to be a mod." And that's when I, like popped in chat. I was like, wait a minute, this isn't normal Toontown. And you and folks in chat explained we actually had Delinquitch, in chat use a Toontown command by force of habit.
Yeah. The honorary Toontown command, because again, it does. You know, I don't have too aggressive of stuff going on. I mean, knock on wood. But I did have to make sure I had to make sure to put that command on there just so I didn't have to go. Okay, so this is Toontown. This is what it is. This is how I'm doing it. Even though I still end up talking at it, I still end up talking about it with some length. But yeah, it's a very, very handy command.
I think my favorite mod there was, I don't recall what monstrous instrument it was on, or I don't even know if it was an instrument, but just there's a weird remix of Snow Halation in there.
Oh. That one causes me physical pain. As someone who does have a very heavy knowledge of the internet era that I do, I have a high tolerance for quote unquote cringe, and I can handle a lot, but that MIDI of Snow Halation feels like an attack on my person. It hurts. It does physical damage to my body to consume that sound.
Snow Halation, the original, is a beautiful song. It's one of the most iconic Love Live songs, and so fun, so great. And this thing is just, it's an abomination, quite frankly.
Genuinely the worst MIDI I've ever heard, because I remember, or anybody who remembers having to hunt for MIDIs or whatever you needed. MIDIs always had different qualities. There were ones that sounded exactly like the song. You're like, yeah, this is good. This is the one I want. And then it kind of varied on down from there. And then there's some that just sound horrible. And that's it's certainly a song. It's certainly a song that I try to run away from as fast as possible.
Rich Files has
it hurts not
no
only
halation.
Me, but the viewers.
Yeah, it's the one that sticks with me most because it is so terrible. Don't get me wrong, it's not something I'm going to look up and listen to on my own time.
Yeah,
But I respect the commitment to insanity that they had putting it in there.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you went to a middle school band and you asked them to play you Snow Halation with recorders and clarinets.
As someone who was in band throughout school, I feel like that was an attack, but at the same time, I completely respect and agree that is a perfect analogy.
Yeah, because it's not going to be quite the high school band, because you've got a little. They're definitely playing Snow Halation.
Honestly, it's probably the elementary school ones. It's because high school bands are usually actually pretty good. Middle school bands can be hit or miss. But basically every elementary school is where the parents are just smiling and nodding, gritting their teeth, and pretending that the violins aren't squeaking every other note, and that the clarinets aren't squeaking every other note, and just, you clap and you're supportive, and you're like, yeah, you did your best. You're still learning, and that's okay, and you're being supportive. And that's sort of what I feel like you need to reduce your standards to be okay on any level with that thing.
Yes. I like how you refer to it as that thing, because it truly is just a beast. It is a beast. Could you imagine if the anime would have never made it? They would have never made it in the anime if they would have sounded like that.
I'm not so sure, because part of me thinks if an idol
started
show
there and
were
then
to
went
do
all
that,
the way to the top.
I almost feel like it would become a meme unto itself, that it would have been a different path for sure. But part of me wonders if you could have done that.
I want an anime now where they're really bad at singing, but everyone just acts like they're very, very good.
Now, would it be that people are lying to them and saying that they're really good when they're not, or that people are super supportive and you have that sort of growth arc of, all right, when we start out, we're actual trash and we get to be something.
Maybe they started as a non-committal joke and they weren't really trying their best.
Okay.
Their subparness is what caught on, you know?
Okay, and then that creates a very different type of tension later on in the series of, okay, do we actually want to start being good? And as they start becoming good, their fans start dropping off because their fans were there for them to be bad. But then there's the tension of, well, wait, we want to actually improve. Boom. All right, we need to get this script sold to studio somehow.
Yeah. Oh man, please get me in touch with the studio. I can pitch some ideas for sure.
We'll make it happen. A Meet and J production brought to you by Studio. I don't know. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag let's find a studio to sponsor us.
Yeah. Surely, there's that with like a plucky young cave woman and a talented night show host.
We're already writing our own crazy tunes here. Oh dear. Now, outside of Toontown, one game you were playing earlier this week, which again, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone streaming this game, Vtuber or not. You were playing Pokemon Channel, which once again lands in that era of 2000 to 2010, which I never actually played that one. And I've played most Pokemon games.
I'm in the same boat. I have played most Pokemon games. I've played, I grew up with it, pretty much the main titles. I even played the trading card game for a while. And that's kind of one of the fun things about Pokemon is that you do get these really offbeat, wacky titles. But I haven't played as much of them as I would have liked. And what can be more offbeat than the game where Pikachu basically begs you to sit in front of a TV, you know?
Yeah, I think you said on stream that basically it's Pikachu Babysitter the game.
Yes. Pikachu Babysitter, very, very much. Pikachu, yes, Pika, I want to watch TV and then I'm hungry or something, you know? You're just holding Pikachu's hand while Pikachu does activities.
Yeah, and it has some okay mini games, and they almost feel reminiscent of the Pokemon Stadium mini games, which I hold up as some of the best ones that they ever made. The Pokemon Stadium was great. It was a good battle simulator, and the mini games were just a blast. I wish they had more than like 9 per game, but the 9 they had were really good.
Yes, Pokemon Stadium is that might even be up there as like one of my favorite Pokemon games. I would go out on a limb and say that because there's so much good stuff. You could spend hours in Pokemon Stadium, and that was like one of the first times you really got good 3D looks at the you felt like you were battling Pokemon,
oh yeah, that for its age, it was everything that people wanted. It was everything that Pokemon players wanted because you had those 3D battles, and yeah, they're by today's standards low polygon count, but for when it was released, it was incredible. And it would be a spin-off series.
The Legend series, like I would say, the way the Legend series is kind of, it's insane to me now that you can move the camera around while you're in battle,
Yeah.
I almost find myself stuck in that default pose because
you're just not used to it. You're not intuitively going to mess with the camera because, of course, I can't move the camera. I've never been able to move the camera.
And it's been drilled into my brain for a bazillion
25 years. Actually, 25 years now.
Yes, and it's like telling me to switch hands all of a sudden.
I've ranted about Legends Arceus on a couple previous episodes with other guests, and I absolutely love that game. I want more of that. I think that there was a couple polished things here and there. Yeah, there's graphics have never been the focus of Pokemon games. But for what it needed to be, it was fine. But the gameplay, the core loop of it all was so satisfying. There was a really good number of Pokemon, a fun story to go along. The exploration was nice. I want Pokemon Legends Mew and Old Kanto. I want Pokemon Legends Celebi and Old Johto. I want us to go to more places, and I hope it doesn't end like the Stadium series did with only 2, because that's one series that has always baffled me that they didn't continue them on GameCube or Wii or past there,
Oh,
because
I
it
agree.
felt
I
like one of the
agree.
easiest slam dunks. Also,
Oh, yeah.
thank you to Princess Kazooie for the follow, and also I missed Rizel Hijikata about a half hour ago. My bad on that. Thank you for the follows.
Welcome. Thank you for following. Thank you all for showing up as well. Thank you. But yeah, I would. Oh man, I would just be over the moon for a new Pokemon Stadium. Just anything that lets me have more time in the Pokemon world in a non-traditional manner that I'm not going to get from the regular types of games, is just such a treat, because the Pokemon world itself is a treat. And the fact that they're finally letting us go off that beaten path is delightful, I know a lot of people had a problem with like the wild area in Sword and Shield not being totally wild, totally open, but to me that was still so fantastic.
Yeah, that it's an iteration. It's a step in that different direction, and now that we have Legends in our hands, it definitely feels like the wild area in Sword and Shield was there. It feels like a very obvious predecessor to what we got in Legends, that they were just starting to move in that direction. They didn't want to jump in just, into the deep end from the get-go, but, one step at a time. And that if we keep getting that type of step, which frankly, given the types of steps that they've taken in previous generations were mechanical, that the mechanics from Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4, while it's not super obvious when you first play them, that if you get into the battle mechanics of physical special stats, the way that the damage calculation works, they actually did a ton of under-the-hood stuff. But now that they've perfected most of the under-the-hood stuff, they're starting to, I feel, spend that time iterating on stuff that's a bit more obvious to a player.
I never thought about that way until you put it into words, but that's a very, very good way to put it, because there was all these years of why doesn't Pokemon have this? Why doesn't Pokemon have that? Why does this game have this? Why does this game have that? But we're so used to so much flash on the front end, and then duct tape and hope and spit on the back end,
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like Pokemon wanted to give us that family foundation before they let us grow up and have a little fun.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing that going back and playing the original games and just, physical special split, I think, is one of the biggest changes of just, for folks who aren't giant Pokemon nerds like us, it used to be that every type of attack was inherently related to special or physical stats. So all water moves were special moves, regardless of what they were. This caused problems for Pokemon like Gyarados, which had a high or a high physical stat, low special stat, because as a water Pokemon, it couldn't use any moves of its type and get that damage. But now you have it where there's certain moves that are physical and special within each type.
Yes. You explained it better than I ever could.
Yeah, so they did a lot of different stuff with that, and now we're getting, the wild area, and obviously the Scarlet Violet trailer came out a couple weeks ago, and who knows what's going to go there. I don't think we're going to get the Legend style of battle in that one. I think we're going to go back to a bit more contained battles.
I agree. It'll be more of the... Since it's going to be more of the
main line,
the duality, the red, the blue, the black, the white, the X, the Y, the Scarlet, the it's I think it's going to definitely go back to more of that. You're getting from, your goal is to get from your starter town to your your final championship or what have you. So I definitely don't I fully agree with you. I think it's going to go probably back to that. but it already looks gorgeous.
Mhm.
So, oh, want to see for sure.
Yes, definitely excited for that one. Are there any other particular games, new or old, that have been really doing it for you lately? That I know, like I mentioned, you've been playing through the humongous game library. The ones that stick out for me personally was the Freddy Fish series. I love those games. You were playing Spy Fox last night. Are there any in that library that have really stood out to you?
I'm gonna say so far, I think starting with Putt Putt was good because Putt Putt, there are a couple of games in the by Humongous Games that are specifically like, okay, this is for kindergarten specifically. But I feel like Putt Putt is obviously the most childish of the group. I think I'm very, any Humongous Games experts could correct me if I'm wrong, but Putt Putt definitely felt a little younger. But going into Spy Fox now, I'm getting to see a little bit more of the a little bit of that, like, a little bit of the winky wink, nudge nudge adult humor, because there's a ton of references in there that you definitely wouldn't get as a kid,
Yeah,
and
I hadn't actually thought about it until you just said it now, that it being a bit of a progression there, because I suppose that just thematically, the idea of a international spy feels just a little bit more mature than, friendly car saving the zoo.
yeah. And Putt Putt's games are very much shape, color, memory type things. And playing through Spy Fox, they're definitely, there's a very intense game of Go Fish in there.
That was one of the most intense things I've seen on stream in a long time. A game of Go Fish
so
from
crushing.
I wonder how much of that is like AI doing better than it should, or is it all just RNG? I want to know what the code is here, because that felt like a hurdle of.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a little kid, that would have been one of those moments potentially where you just, stop playing the game out of frustration, because, you as an adult
what are you
who
gonna
knows.
do? Get your parents to come try, and then mom and dad get frustrated too, because it's let's face it, it's Go Fish, so there's a little bit of a skill with at least listening to what kind of cards he's calling, like when he's asking, like,
Yeah, it's a memory game.
Right. But when he gets on a roll, he's a card. He should have been a card shark. He's
Oh yeah, he should not have been a pig. He should have been a shark.
Yeah.
Still, you made it. It may have taken an hour or something, and 10 hands, but you made it eventually. You beat that pig, and you said right away that you're never gonna play Go Fish again, and I don't blame you.
I'm still thinking about it today, though. Part of me wants to go back. I don't know, something about it. It was a decent mini game, so I'm very much excited to continue going through the Spy Fox series. I think it has a total of 5 games, and then I'm not sure if I'm gonna go into Freddy Fish or Pajama Sam after that, but I'm very, very excited to go into those as well. Just because they're so well loved by so many people, and I never played any of these humongous games when I was younger, so I want to see, I want to experience the wonderment and go through it blind and have a good time with it,
Yeah, and you actually have a very fun redeem on your Silly Saturdays, which I really enjoy, and one of your channel point redeems is that they can summon a tune. And that I forget what the exact point cost is, but when you do that, you put in a character, and it can be from a game, cartoon, whatever, and that you will look up a PNG from them, bring them into OBS, and have them alongside you. And it starts out at the beginning of the stream, it's just you there in the corner. But by the end of the night, the gang's all here. It's like it looks like one of those piles of plushies that you see of just there's a whole bunch there, and you have to almost remember, oh yeah, Meat is among that giant mountain
Yes,
of
yes, I am
characters.
definitely there. I think it's a beautiful, it's not only just a fun way to have, everybody can have their favorite guy on the screen. I always like to joke that it's the most ambitious collab of all time.
The
Um,
greatest crossover in history.
exactly. In prehistory even.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Ah, but it's also just become a really crazy and fun audience interaction thing, like people genuinely looking forward to, like, okay, yeah, like I know who I'm gonna get this week, or like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be using this image for this week. And it's so simply silly, it's so ridiculous, it's so harmless. Like that redeem is not, it's not hurting anybody, it's not offensive, it's
Yeah,
nothing crazy,
and it's not
and
even that
it's
high of a
fun.
point cost. That if memory serves, like 500 or 1,000. That
Yeah,
you
I
can't
think it's a
be a
1,000,
first
like,
time, but
something pretty reasonable, and
yeah.
I learned very quickly, that because the very first stream where I did it, we did completely cover the screen. So I learned very quickly to limit it to two per person, but we still build up we still build up a decent wall every stream.
hmm so was that something that you had seen something similar on another stream, or was that something somebody suggested, or was that your own idea? How did that one come about?
Well, everybody always has, everybody, oh, I need a quick PNG of this. I need a quick PNG of this. And, I have always seen, I have a similar redeem for during the week where it's not Saturday, where I'll impale an item on my tusks here. And that has a limit on it, and it's like 1,500 instead of being 1,000. And I've seen plenty of people have redeemed, put something on their head, pin something to their shirt or whatever, and I was like, well, what if I just bring a bunch of cartoons? What if I just, instead of just any random object, well, you can have any cartoon, you can have your favorite cartoon here on the stream live,
And it works
whoever
so
you
well
want.
that just obviously for the theme of that given night, plus just your own actual style that uh I forget that who is your VTuber mama, because the style that you have is not a common one among VTubers. That it doesn't look like a it still has that slight anime vibe, but it's a bit less intense, I suppose. And the
Yes,
way the
yes.
lines are drawn are they feel like something out of an older cartoon, anyways. That it's not quite Flintstones, but it's more similar than your average VTuber model for sure.
Right. Farfin, or it's Farfin on Twitter, but Farfin, Farfin, is my modeler and my rigger. Uh, Absolutely fantastic. I his art. He had originally drawn cave women, and I really had dug his art style for a while, and I shoot my shot and asked, because he had started messing around with rigging a little bit, and had once threw out a quote like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever do a VTuber, but if I did, it would be this amount of money, and I'd have to like the design. And so I knew that Farfin already was kind of fitting what I wanted very much. And before this, I had originally worked on a Vroid, so I was able to give that to Farfin as well.
Yes, proto
Yes,
meat.
yes, proto meat. So it's very much a natural progression, I feel like. But I can't imagine myself looking any other way. And I almost had that problem with the Vroid. I might have ended up a completely different person if I would have been the Vroid, because it was just something a little, there's something that's an unpolished edge about me. And I think that shows, I think it shows, it's very poppy, it's cartoony, it's eye-catching. Like you're saying, it's not quite anime. One of my big inspirations for my design was like Lum from Urusei Yatsura and stuff. So especially with my eye shapes, some of my expressions, I have this expression, which is actually directly based off of a screen cap. Very influenced by that early anime style, and just kind of translated it into, into this. I've even got the classic little, the little in-shaped eyes and stuff like that.
I never made that connection before, but I now feel really silly, frankly, for not realizing it. I mean, on Discord, that's your avatar.
Yes.
Like, wait a minute, how did I not see this? I've been looking at that avatar in Discord all week.
Yes. Definitely. I am very much an amalgamation of my love of orcs, which stems like orcs and cave people and people, and just people with horn, kind of a primal sense that I have from like these old RPGs I've played, and just wanting to, this hunter, these aspects, and all balling them up to one, and then just finding the perfect artist. Again, just another happy accident. It's all just been fantastic. It's all just been, it's all part of the package, but it's all come together so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to happy accidents, VTuber Talk is no different. That I won't go into the full story, but basically this show all came about because I was bored, and because I had fallen into the VTuber rabbit hole and was like, I want to do something. I love live production, and in 2020 and 2021, conventions and other live productions that I usually would do were not happening, so I had a lot of extra time on my hands.
Right.
And it was through just a variety of circumstances that I fell into the VTuber rabbit hole in the first place, and then stumbled across the idea of, a talk show and how to run it, and the things that I do that make VTuber Talk. And goodness knows there's many other happy accidents throughout my life. So I very much identify with that in general. And I'd say, frankly, me finding you is a bit of a happy accident. To bring it back, like I said, the way I found you was from Junk. And frankly, that's how I find about half of my guests, if not more nowadays, is just being rated into someone by a previous guest, because that's already a thumbs up, a sign of approval. And in Junk's case in particular, it was because the day after I had him on my show, he was on your channel doing your Sonic the Hedgehog reading from the movie from 2020. That was super fun, and that caught my attention because one thing that I've done with friends, just completely outside of VTuber Talk, is script reads of that nature. So it immediately caught my attention, plus the fact that you had a bunch of people involved, and just really respect you being able to organize all that, because it's difficult to coordinate things for a one-on-one collab. But you had a cast of, I think, 12 or 15. It was a lot of people.
It really was. It really was a group effort. Most of the hosting was on my end, and I was narrating, but Koki, the rest of the Southside Twitch team, because that was the majority who were involved. We had Junk and a couple other people, but it's so fun. We've done a couple of these readings now. We've done The Room, which was fantastic, and it was just hilarious and fun. I don't remember I know Junk has been on more than one of them, but I cannot for the life of me remember if he was for that one. And then we had done Mr. Boop, which I had to explain to you, is just a webcomic about a man who really loves his wife, Betty Boop.
sounds like something out of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm now kind of bummed out that we didn't get Mr. Boop,
gets there.
because Betty Boop appears in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That there's a whole little scene with her in, I can't remember what the cabaret is, but it's in the scene where Jessica Rabbit has her big song and dance number that Betty Boop is there as a waitress.
Selling the cigarettes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now I want that, or just, Roger Rabbit 2, because Roger Rabbit, maybe that would be a fun one to do a script reading of.
Oh, man. You know what? That is a genius idea. That's one we gotta put in the basket.
Hey, let me know that if you need someone to grab a role, I'm there, and if not, I'll be in the audience. Really excited for it, because that's a fun one for sure.
Yeah. You want to be, do you want to be, you want to be Baby Herman? No.
Oh God, Baby Herman.
Oh, you can do
no,
the voice
I don't.
too. I love to do the voice.
Oh yeah, if you're doing something like, it doesn't matter. If you're doing something like that type of movie, you have to do it. And
yes.
Also, Delinquitch in the chat just made the biggest connection. Bring it all together. It's Toontown.
Yes.
It's Toontown.
Yes,
You have to do this.
I should do it for like some sort of Toontown milestone. I wish like I could wind back time and do it for when we hit 100 hours. Maybe I can do it for like 150 or 200 or some sort of special Toontown celebration. We should 100% do a Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Koki says when you get to the end game content.
If I ever get to the end game, it's Toontown.
Does Toontown have end game?
Essentially, the quote unquote end game is kind of, it even sounds complicated to explain, because you basically end up maxing out your attacks essentially, and then you also have to get these disguises for the COG headquarters, so you can essentially infiltrate them as the COG and do this other type of in-game content. So you have to have like the complete suits, and then if you want to grind and to max your gags out, that's what I believe is like quote unquote in game.
All right,
but like most MMOs, I don't think, and especially now that they're adding new content into it, who knows, it might actually have like an official end game, but like something like anything that's currently running, they don't want to slap this is the end right here on it.
Yeah, because you want people to keep playing, and obviously being an MMO, that there's rarely going to be a credits roll moment, and even if there is, that there's never going to be a true end, because you just keep going. There's always going to be NPCs, there's always going to be random mobs to beat up, and but that might be something to just sort of figure out when it works. And oh gosh, I hope that happens. And obviously, you're the organizer, and as someone who has been on that end of a production before, I know it's always easier said than done. So do it on your time when it works for you. If it is something that you are excited to do, I think it'd be fun.
I think I'm very excited about it, and like I said, I have a fantastic not only Twitch team with the South Side of Friends, but just I've met so many fantastic people that I'm sure there would be no shortage of helping hands if I needed them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, now I'm just thinking about that. I'm gonna need to hop off of that topic, otherwise I could talk about that all night, because I very much enjoy Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I think that
me too. Now
like, historically speaking, it's prior to Avengers, that legitimately might be the most ambitious crossover in history.
Now I'm thinking back on it, and I'm just wondering how the amount of Roger Rabbit I watched as a young cave woman subconsciously influenced me to where I am today. Was I always destined to go to Toontown? Was I always destined to be
were you on this
this.
path without even realizing it?
Exactly. Everyone's got a destiny, and mine truly was to be the silliest cave woman.
The silliest cave woman, the mayor of Toontown, of New Toontown.
Yeah. In you with new. So it looks extra cool.
I mean, like, nowadays you would not see Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse on the screen together. It wouldn't happen.
Oh, no, you would not. There's so many things like that. There's so many, I haven't seen the newer Space Jam, and it almost became a running joke in my chat for a while, because I understood that, like, they had added a bunch of characters into the new one, but the joke was just like, you could tell me that anybody was in it and I would just believe, because it's like someone would be like, oh yeah, so and so is in Space Jam 2, you know, as long as it sounded like reasonably plausible, I'd be like, what?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah,
because there's so many. I mean, to this day I don't know if Big Chungus is there, right? Apparently
I have not seen it. I can't speak to it myself, but I do remember hearing that Big Chungus had a cameo, and I could believe that. Or people could just be pulling the wool over our eyes and making us look like fools.
It's this is a phrase I never thought. It's Schrodinger's Chungus. Is he really there? Is he not? I don't know.
We'll never know. As long as we haven't seen the film, he both does and does not exist.
Exactly, and I think that's true of a lot of those cameos. But again, they couldn't even get the same amount of. They couldn't even have the originals. All the cameos from the original, they couldn't even have those, so you have to, you know, bring in things like Mr. Chungus, if you will.
Hey, so you need to do something to appeal to the youth.
Yes, the youths demanded it.
Like, that's one of the things that I always wonder. That I have a very business-minded brain of, I wonder how things got to where they were and like what the conversations in boardrooms were, and I always think about who's the person that says, all right, we want to have these characters, and then they have to go through, you know, the appropriate licensing and permissions, and somebody, if Big Chungus is there, let's assume that for the sake of theory here, that Chungus does appear in Space Jam 2, that someone had to suggest it, and someone had to approve it. And I want to know if it was an exec who saw it somewhere and was like, oh, I know that, you know, this is a thing that the kids like, and since we're trying to appeal to that we'll put them in. Or was it somebody who was younger and was like, this is a meme, I know it looks weird, just trust me and put it in?
Yeah. I felt that way, honestly, watching the Sonic movie, because the Sonic movie is another one of those movies that kind of hits on both lines of, like, jokes that the kids will understand, jokes that somebody that played Sonic when they were younger will understand, and then, you know, jokes that parents or whatever will understand. And it's decently peppered with memes that, you know, kids aren't going to know. And I want to know, you know, who's the meme pitcher? Who's the one that's like, okay, if you're going to make a Sonic movie, you need to put this wink in here. You need to put this nudge in here. You know, you need to put this blip in here.
Yeah. And honestly, I saw Sonic in theaters. It was actually the last thing I saw in theaters in 2020. And
true for a lot of people.
It was legitimately good. That I went in with mediocre expectations at best. That I was just happy, and I wanted to support it because of the redesign. I was like, okay, they went in and fixed that problem. You want to talk about abominations? I would call that original Sonic a worse abomination than the snow halation. So I wanted to see it. A
picture of that Sonic with that snow halation, that's damn near torture, surely.
Ugh. But I went in I had a really good time. That for video game movies as a whole, I would say it's one of legitimately just the best video game movie adaptations of. It felt fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. Jim Carrey as Robotnik. Even when Sonic, even with the original design, I might have gone to see it just to see Jim Carrey as Robotnik, because that felt like inspired casting, and boy, was it.
Yes. I think
it wasn't even that they left the only good lines from him in the trailer. That just throughout that movie, you could tell he was having a blast.
Oh yeah, and that's the best. That's I feel like the philosophy of the Sonic movie is, now that you're putting it into words, is unironically maybe also my approach to streaming. I take it seriously. I do love this. It is my passion. It is, something I want to keep doing for a very long time. But at the same time, you're not coming to a silly Saturday or to a meet stream, for, okay, guys, we're going to sit down and today we're going to talk about our taxes. Or, you're coming for fun. You're coming for, bouncing around and never knowing what you're going to get. And maybe a little bit of cringe sprinkled in there, like the Sonic movie or
Just
something.
a tasteful amount of cringe.
A seasoned amount.
Cringe, as they say, is the spice of life.
Truly, truly, truly.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel, and I think they said that they've already greenlit the third, and that apparently Knuckles is going to have his own spin-off show on Paramount Plus or something.
Oh, wow.
One thing that has been discussed on a couple of my previous shows, because the Sonic movie is something that obviously did very well with gamers and in general, the question of Idris Elba has been cast as Knuckles. That's a pretty big name, and it's a bit of a ridiculous name. But between Idris Elba as Knuckles and Jim Carrey as Robotnik, it feels like the doors are pretty wide open for casting options here. And if they're going to do a third film, my guess is that the villain, or even if not villain, that the antagonist in the third film would have to be either Metal Sonic or Shadow, and I would put my money on Shadow.
Oh, boy. That would be a treat and a half, wouldn't it?
So the question becomes...
Shadow the Hedgehog movie?
Well, yeah, so I feel like they could just do Sonic Adventure 2 as the third film, and that you don't even need to change much.
I agree.
But the question becomes, who do you cast as Shadow?
Ooh. Who is like the polar opposite of of course the name is escaping me this very moment, but the guy who plays Sonic, who would be the polar opposite of him?
The person that
Keanu Reeves. I want Keanu Reeves out of the Hedgehog.
Okay, I can get on board with this.
That's what I want. That's what comes to mind now. I want Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, wow. Okay, because like I said, this has been discussed on a couple previous shows. Paki-chan and I were the first to discuss it in depth, and we landed on Benedict Cumberbatch. But I like the idea of Keanu Reeves just as much.
Benedict would be a good one. In the way that I could definitely see, but I don't think Shadow is not British to me.
Yeah, well, we've seen Benedict do American as Doctor Strange and stuff, so.
A runner-up would be a Nicolas Cage Shadow.
Oh my god, talking about memes. Oh no.
And Keanu Reeves can also kind of do this voice, like the cool guy, kind of, I'm in Hollywood, I'm a cool guy voice.
I accept both of these. And the other one that I saw just this past week because of the release of The Batman, Robert Pattinson, the idea of him as Shadow the Hedgehog. And I think that could work as well, but I like both of your ideas, Keanu and Nick Cage. Oh, God.
I think one of them would do it, really. I think one of them would do it, especially since Nicolas Cage did the silly, I haven't seen it, but I would like to see it, the like Wally's Wonderland or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's been doing his own thing. He's just sort of shunned mainstream Hollywood and said, all right, I've made enough money. I'm doing whatever the heck I want. He had I didn't see it. I've only seen the trailer. It's called Pig, and it
Yeah,
looks
I have
like
heard of that.
it looks like Taken, but instead of it being the daughter, it's the guy's pet pig.
Well, hey, I
And
mean,
that was
isn't that
basically
arguably what John Wick is about?
yeah. Typecast without even realizing it.
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind here, me.
Hey,
Oh my gosh.
that's what I'm all about. I'm all about expanding here. That would sound terrible.
Don't worry, I'm sure nobody will clip that.
Yeah, no, I'm all about truly. I love to learn new things, and I love to just spitball with ridiculous things like this. And I really think one of them would do it. If you approached one of them and said, "Hey, do you want to be Sonic?" I would be surprised if both of them said no. You know, I feel like one of the two would genuinely say yes.
I actually feel like of the two, the one least likely to say yes would be Nick Cage, because he's just been doing his own thing for so many years that I almost feel like it would be too mainstream for his taste nowadays.
Oh, no, yeah.
But I could see Keanu Reeves doing it. I could see Benedict Cumberbatch doing it. Robert Pattinson probably. But at the same time, I could see it being just offbeat enough that Nick Cage would say, all right, it's mainstream, but this is something, out there enough that it's worthwhile.
Well, it's also, think just doing a voice versus being an actual on-camera role is also a completely different kind of ballgame, you know? You gotta think even South Park had George Clooney once.
That's true. South Park and The Simpsons, I feel like, have had, they've both been around for a long time and have had many, many names, and sometimes, like you said, in places that you wouldn't even expect.
Yes. But I think that's one of the fun things of just like being that level of celebrity and being like one of just those guys that you can just slide into just something wacky, and people might not even know it's you, but the people that do, or when people find out, they're like, oh my God, I would have never thought that in a million years.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, now we have people in the chat starting to cast other series of, Dr. Wily or Ganondorf getting those other ones. Are there any series, new or old, that you want to see get a Hollywood adaptation? That could be animated, live action, or mixed, like Sonic.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because we're getting Mario, so you can't choose that.
Let me think.
I say asking this question off the cuff, having not thought at all about my own answer.
I think that a deeper part of me would just to see what could become. I want you to imagine Knights, Sega Saturn, but anime.
Okay, that's a deep cut for sure, because I've never played Knights. I know about Knights, and if memory serves, isn't that Sonic Team as well?
It is, and Knights has a very another very odd choice of a game that I stumbled across. As when I was younger, I had a Sega Saturn. I had Sonic. One of the weird Sonic games. I always forget if it's Sonic 3D. It's not Sonic 3D Blast, but the title is very, very similar, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I had like Virtua Fighter, and then I had Knights, and Knights it's hard and scary. I don't think I ever got past the first level.
Yeah, if anyone's not familiar with Knights in the chat, that Knights is this purple lanky jester
that like comes into your dreams and helps you fight nightmares. I think it just seems like it would be perfectly suited for some sort of whimsical anime. And I know people that are just like, I can say like, yeah, I'm a Knights fan, as in, I played it, but I'm sure there's people that are far, 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 far more dedicated than I could ever think of being, but it just seems like it's um one of those odd stories that you see a lot with consoles that didn't get to live their full life, or games that didn't get to be fleshed out as fully that they should have been, where you can tell there's more to this world, this story, this environment, and you can just tell there's a story aching to be told.
And that it just
And I
didn't
would
get the
like
support
for
to get
Knights to be
sequels.
able to tell the story.
Yeah, because Knights has appeared in a couple of Sonic games as like a side character. I think they might have been in Sonic Racers.
Yeah, or like a little like unlockable stuff, or just, you know, little nods here and there. So it's very much in the back of their mind.
They
it
acknowledge
obviously
Knights'
still holds a
existence.
special
It's not
place.
Knights is not a taboo property where they have just shunned it entirely, but it's deep back there in the vault.
Yes, it's deep back there in the vault, and it's like every once in a while they'll like prod the stick and be like, "Do you remember?"
Hey, remember this?
Yeah. But then I think my silly mainstream answer would be like, just Disney, just give like a linear Kingdom Hearts movie or something, or show, or mini series or something,
The MCU happened on Disney's watch. Why can't it just happen under the Disney umbrella instead of the Marvel umbrella?
Yeah. Or at least, do something that they could do with it, just do something. Just do something that isn't, again, just a world that I would love to be in and explore further. The fact that you do have every movie has a world, it would just, and they did explore some of the offbeat, some offbeat choices in Kingdom Hearts.
I
which
could
is
see
really
that as a
fun.
Disney Plus series of just each episode is a different world, and that you get everything in
Yeah.
that way. That it would probably be too rushed as a film or even a trilogy of films. But if you do some limited series, 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, Tia, with rating him 5. Thank you so much. Hi, Tia. It's been a
welcome.
while. I saw that you were streaming and you haven't in a while, and obviously I was busy, so I couldn't tune in, but thank you so much for rating. Tia was on my show, goodness, it's probably been almost a year now, which is weird to say, and she's been coming back from a bit of a hiatus, so really good to see you, Tia. I hope you've been doing well. For those of you who are just hopping in, hi, I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk. I am speaking with Meat today. We were just talking about some of our ideas or pitches for video game media adaptations. It started with movies, started with who would we cast as Shadow the Hedgehog in future Sonic films. Now we're down the rabbit hole to the point where we're concepting a Kingdom Hearts Disney Plus limited series.
Yeah. Normal stuff.
Totally normal. So who would you cast as Sora in that case? And this could be voice or live action, your choice.
God, well, I just feel like you would have to get Haley Joel Osment, but I feel like
if we could get him, that'd be amazing.
But we wouldn't be able to have him in live action. So I think it would
it would have to be animated at that point. Yeah.
Do it animate. Yeah, you know what? Do it animate. And not even necessarily like a quote unquote anime style, but just do it animated and get the I feel like the people within the Kingdom Hearts franchise, at least the main characters, as far as I know, are relatively friendly with the franchise still, I feel like if they were... I think
Square Enix is going to be just fine to come to some sort of agreement that this thing would print money. Even if it wasn't very good, it would be so profitable. It would be a lot of work for the legal team, just, as per usual, getting all the licenses in line. But people would tune in for that, even if it wasn't good. But to be fair, Disney Plus has a pretty good batting average.
That's true. And you know what? I hate to say it, but if you want to even think of it that way, it doesn't even necessarily have to be good for them to, like, make their investment back. But I would hope that it would be in, great hands.
Of course. Yeah, I'm on board of just, do it animated, that you have the voice cast, that you probably have most of that already lined up, and maybe you get, depending on certain ones, you might have to recast certain animated roles, because, like certain Disney characters in the games were not played by their original voice actors for various reasons. One, because some of them are no longer with us. Some of them would probably require a much higher payday than would be worthwhile for the amount of lines that character has in the game. But I'm sure they could make it work.
I think they could at least get, even if they just got who they could, where they could, I still think they could be relatively successful. But what do we know? We're just silly cave woman.
Delinquent in the chat says Adam Sandler give Koki a bone. So all right, we will approach
Adam
this
Sandler
from
Goofy. I'll allow that. They dress the same.
I wasn't even gonna go that way. I was gonna say let's reverse engineer this entirely. What video game adaptation would you want Adam Sandler to headline?
Crash Bandicoot.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
In the shorts. And, tell me, Adam Sandler could do the whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, gosh, I can hear it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be live action.
Doesn't have to be live action. No, because Crash absolutely would never do live
Adam
action.
Sandler.
Okay.
I think it's strong.
Now, I want to try and think, what serious role could you put Adam Sandler in? Because I'm not sure. Did you see Uncut Diamonds? Or Uncut Gems? Or whichever
and
one?
I want to, but it's just
really
one of those
good.
I just haven't.
It was unbelievably intense. That is a R-rated movie through and through. But it felt like a snub that he didn't get a Best Actor nomination, frankly.
I see.
It was really good. Uncut Gems. Thank you, Seraphis.
Who would I cast as Neocortex Seraphixes? Part of me in a meme just wants to say, I don't know. You know what? I would cast Benedict Cumberbatch.
As Neocortex? Okay. I can see that one.
Yeah. Either that or, I feel like if they wanted to play him a little more bumbling and less like a serious-y, type villain, maybe Seth Rogen.
Okay. The vocal
Cumberbatch
register is a
Rogen.
little bit different, but I could still see it working or hear it working, I suppose.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It would be a completely different vibe, but you could work with it.
If he would be up for it, this would be, I suppose, slightly typecasting at this point, but if you could get Christopher Lloyd out for it.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Or I was even thinking Frasier, but I definitely don't think he would do it.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Ooh, now
am I thinking the wrong person from? Because that's Frasier, right?
Yeah. The guy from Frasier or Neil Patrick Harris.
Sorry, not Neil Patrick Harris. Sorry, it's another triple name one. David Hyde Pierce. David Hyde Pierce.
Oh, Kelsey Grammer.
Chris Pratt. I feel a bit bad for Chris Pratt. He probably, saw the Mario offer and was like, oh my gosh, you want to pay me to be the most iconic video game character of all time? Heck yes, I'm doing this. And I'll admit, he was not my first choice either, but I'm never going to begrudge an actor for taking a role, assuming it's not, like, a culturally insensitive thing.
We're just going to have to hear how he sounds.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's going to be what makes or break it. When they finally release, like, I need to hear Chris Pratt go, like, wahoo, wahoo, wahoo.
But I am 100% on board with...
I need him to say, like, it's a me Mario or something. That's what's going to make or break it. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to do, like, a trailer with no or, like, a narrated trailer, a trailer with no
and then,
talking.
like, one vocal line at the end.
Yeah, at the end, he's going to be like, it's a me, Mario. Yeah. If I want to, I would bet, I would put $5 on that.
Now I'm also thinking, when are we going to get that first trailer? Because it feels like we're due for it soon.
It does. It does. You would. I wonder when. Well, the video game awards were what yesterday.
They were in January. It's usually like first couple weeks of January, so we're a bit past that. But maybe it's something we get in E3.
Yeah, something like that. You would think the next like large video game event would be the time to drop it.
Yeah, and that would be E3 in June, about 3 months from now.
Oh, at June, right in the summer? That sounds pretty tasty. If I was in Nintendo, that would sound pretty good to me.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, it feels like they always get the villains right, because I'm already on board with Jack Black as Bowser. I haven't heard him, but this, conceptually, it seems so very right.
I agree. The whole casting sounds very shocking when it first came out. But I think once you think about
sort of
it,
acclimate to it, get past the shock value.
Yeah. Once you get past that initial like, oh, whoa, what is this? It's you're like, oh, okay, that's right. And then what I always think is if there's ever a casting or I'm like, again, just silly cave woman. But if there's ever like something and I'm like, I wouldn't do that, then just try to think like, well, who else would I even get to, who would I ideally want to do it? And sometimes it's just like, well, you know what? Jack Black can be Bowser. I can't think of, anybody else.
No one else has done it, and we're certainly not going to acknowledge what happened in the 80s. Or early 90s or whenever it was. Whenever it happened, we're not going to acknowledge it.
Exactly. We're not going to acknowledge it so hard that we're not even going to remember when it happened. And we're not going to identify it with a Google search.
Nope. Absolutely not. Also, Seraphix, thank you for the follow. Gosh, I didn't expect us to get on that particular tangent, but that was a fun one. That I told you, we have some things that we sort of planned to talk about that we knew we were going to talk Toontown for a bit. We didn't plan going down that particular angle of Sonic, but that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yes, it was been very fun. It's been great so far.
Yeah. By the way, as per Meet's usual scheduling, I suppose, we are going to be taking a bit of a break in about a half hour, so you all can stretch your legs, so you'll have that to look forward to. There will be more Rats and Bats at that time, but for now, wrapping back to where that all began with the script readings and the idea of Roger Rabbit and that being the big crossover. So you did The Room and Mr. Boop. Roger Rabbit aside, are there any other scripts that have been sort of on a short list or ones that you've been potentially eyeing for future reads?
I'm not sure. Again, it's very much a team effort of planning everything. And I know I do a lot of collabs with Koki, who's a fellow Southside member, a very, very, very dear friend.
Yes, and I've seen her in the chat. I'm not sure if she's still there, but I've been in a good handful of Koki streams over the past couple weeks as well. You've raided into her on at least one of those occasions, I know. But Koki is wonderful.
Always very much. We have a lot of natural overlap, and so it's just. Also, it's like, well, I'm gonna go here anyways, so you might as well just come on with me. We'll just all watch it together. We'll all hang out and have a good time. But a lot of the best ideas, like we've said 4 or 5 times, are happy accidents or very much spur of the moment. Like, hey, let's do this, and we'll just throw it in the bucket until we think of like a day or a time or a good place. Like, oh yeah, like kind of like how Roger Rabbit is now going to be, in the think tank of, like, oh, when can that go in,
Are there any that you have that, well, obviously I don't want you to spoil anything if you've been meaning to keep them secret, so that is a very valid answer as well, but are there any that you are comfortable saying we've been bouncing this one around?
As far as I can think of, I don't think there's anything specifically planned unless Koki in the chat has something that I can't think of and wants to. But I think Roger Rabbit would be a fantastic one to work towards. As his things have been, I don't know, things got kind of busy for me with there's 2 in the works, but they're unannounced yet. So there you go.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
Stay tuned.
yeah. Okay, you know what? Now I do remember one.
You all are just going to have to
been
follow
in
Meat and Koki in order to stay in the loop and find out what those two are.
Exactly. I sometimes I don't know if I would keep my head on straight without Koki.
It's always good to have.
Yeah. You know what? And see, again, we kind of rotate the hosts and such, you know. So one will be on Power Nelson's channel, who is also in the South Side, and Peony, who is a very delightful possum friend of ours, who is also a member of the South Side.
Yes. And actually, you are technically not the first member of the South Side that I've interviewed. She was not a member of the South Side when I interviewed her, but she is now, and that would be Koopa Fortuna.
Yes. Koopa, friend to many VTuber, delightful turtle to everyone, and a fantastic member to have in the South Side. I'm glad to have her because she was a very early inspiration to a lot of VTubers. I definitely remember catching, I don't remember if it was the debut or if it was just a very early stream, but I think Koopa, in a weird way, helped show people that people coming from maybe a more organized side of VTubing, people maybe coming from, you know, Hololive or a corporate side, I think she inspired a lot of people. Kind of do what you want.
She's been a bit busy. Always a pleasure when she has the opportunity to stream, and hopefully she'll be back and streaming a bit more frequently when she has the chance.
Yes. As far as I know, though, she is. I think she's doing. You know, she's doing well. You know, I can't say like,
of course.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
she's alive. She's alive. Does that?
And that's what matters. That's what matters.
She's existing.
Yes.
As far as I can tell.
Yes, and we hope she'll return on her time when she is ready. But
yes.
Anyway, so cool. It's good to know that there's future script reading streams to look forward to. Like you mentioned, on Nelson and Peony's channel. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that. So
yeah. See, you're gonna find out everyone and get introduced to them whether you like it or not. You know.
Oh yeah, no, hey, that's great. I love when I find just a group or a team of VTubers, and that I have found, frankly, that usually it becomes a bit of a layup for me when it comes to guests. That, you know, I might not have a chance to speak with everyone, and I always try and space things out. That I've interviewed, I think, 4-5 members from Fuatopia, 4 members from Shiriri Pro, 3-4 members of Yokomeshi, which was a team that Koopa was on previously, and others. So it makes my job quite a bit easier when I find groups like that, because, you know, you get introduced to one, like you said, you then sort of drift over and it's like, oh, Koki's pretty cool. Oh, Peony's pretty cool. And it's one thing that I certainly know for
in a good way. Very
absolutely
in a good way.
Absolutely. And it's very easy for me just knowing, okay, VTuber Talk can go as long as I have the time to be able to do it. And fortunately, the way I've structured the show means that I'm not having to invest a huge amount of time into it every week. And that's very much by design. That when I started this, I wanted it to be sustainable and for it to be able to handle shifts in my real life. And doing one show a week has worked very well for me. And fortunately, there's never going to be a shortage of VTubers to talk to.
I was about to say, you will never, ever run out of guests. I'm sure.
For sure. I want to save that one for after the break, because that's going to be fun. Well, actually, we can talk about this stuff before the break, and we can do the activity after the break, because I have waiting in the wings a Mad Libs, a Meet Mad Libs, and I've never done a Mad Libs on my show before, and the reason that came about is because I found it on your website. And it was
Yes,
something
yes.
when I
Again,
announced the show, it was like, be sure to check out her streams, but also check out Meet's website, because you have your own website and it is so delightful. The whole meme of graphic design is my passion, it shines through here in the best of ways, that
yes, yes.
it feels like something out of, and I mean this in the best of ways, truly. It feels like something out of the late 90s, early 2000s, of just somebody making one of their first sites. And I'm sure that if you wanted to, you could make something that was super polished, because the way this site is set up, it aesthetically
Mhm.
looks like a much older site, but it's still put together very cleanly. That
Yes.
the aspects of everything are good. The way you've structured the pages and the sitemap is totally logical. That there's legitimately good design here.
Well,
But
thank you, thank you, thank you.
but
I
it looks like something from two and a half decades ago.
well, thank you, thank you. Good to know all those hours I put in learning HTML for various pages and such in younger cavewoman times has served me very well.
Wait,
But what I wanted
is
to
that
do
site
with that,
actually built off of just HTML?
yeah. Okay, so the site I'm using is NeoCities, which is obviously a play off of GeoCities, which was a very popular web host again back in the early 90s, early or late 90s, early 2000s. And it essentially it's the same, like all of my old skills I'm able, like it's just HTML, plug and play from stuff you remember. And what it spurred from, well, is once I started, I had a YouTube at first and I was just streaming on YouTube, and then it's like, okay, well, now I have a YouTube and a Twitch, and now I have a YouTube and a Twitch and this, so I need a way to keep all these links together. And you see so many VTubers they use like the website card,
Yeah.
or various other little things, and they're all like really polished, but and they're you can tweak them. And I was like, I want something a little more customizable that I can add pages to if I want to. I can do whatever I want, but also definitely fits me and my aesthetic, and something a little different of just click meet card. It's like, here, come to my website.
Rich Files put it perfectly, that it fits the prehistoric theme.
Exactly. And it's really fun to play with the analogy. No, I guess not, the analogy wouldn't be the proper word, but to play with the I can't think of the word I'm using, but to play with the dichotomy, I guess, of being a cave woman in the literal sense, but also using almost these what's ancient to nowadays technology,
Yeah, because like I said, it looks like it's something out of late 90s, early 2000s, and I'm actually impressed to learn that it is hand built off of HTML, because that's a lot of work. Usually nowadays you'll use, Wix is one that gets a lot of promotion, but some site where you have tools and are able to build something and have it done that way, or if you're going to program it yourself, that it's usually done in any number of things. But HTML is just also, as a programming language, one of the most prehistoric languages possible for web development. So
yeah, I wouldn't say I'm
a
not
lot of work.
a master hacker or anything, but if you need your background and a marquee and some blinking and some scrolling, boy, I've got you.
Yeah, and how much time do you think you have put into the development of that site?
I definitely, when I had a little more free time earlier in VTubing, I was keeping the fun zone regularly updated. I was updating it with 3 new activities, I believe, every Friday. And which, even if I'm working off of, usually I would get the idea, and then I would find a I would, like, oh, I think it'd be fun to do my version of, like the Mad Lib, or a word search, or a, complete the other half of my body kind of thing. And then I would find, kind of the template I was going for, and then, tweak it to myself, and, or, give it the cave woman twist. And, I would do that every Friday. And it originally was like, you know what? Hey, you don't have anything to do on a Friday night. You don't have anything to look forward to. Well, Meet's gonna update the fun zone. You're gonna have 3 new activities to look forward to. And I really, 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 really would like to bring that back, even if it's not 3 new activities once a week, even if it's just 1 new worksheet or whatever a week.
Just to have
I think
those
it'd be
updates
really fun
and
to pick back up.
get new stuff in there. Yeah. When we spoke earlier in the week, I compared it to the placemats for kids menus at family restaurants.
And
There's a connect the dots, the fact that you had a Mad Libs, just the little drawing, and just aesthetically, the way you've set it up is very reminiscent of that style of it is. I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. It is very deliberately styled to look polished, unpolished.
Yes, and that's another that even goes back to what we were saying with my line work and stuff. It's polished. You can tell, it was done by an artist. It was done very much by someone who knows what they're doing. But my line, it's got that unpolished, that kind of crayon style, that, hand drawn kind of element to it. And I almost don't think I realized
just how on brand all of your stuff is, just how well it all connects. You're very consistent, Meat.
I don't think I've, like I said, recent achievements and stuff, have definitely put me into a lot of reflecting. So I didn't think I put all of it together, but saying it all out loud, it's like, there is a package, there is a vibe, there's a feeling,
whether it was intentional or not, you have a brand.
I do. I have a brand, and I guess I'm a cave woman having realization live that she has a brand.
Because that's, at least academically, my background is in marketing. I got into live production stuff after the fact, just through number of ways that I'm not going to bother with those stories, but that's part of why I have this sort of business analytic brain, and also why I'm always thinking, how did this happen? Or, who was it in the boardroom? Was it an executive with the idea, or did somebody make a good pitch to them that's some of the source of it all? And just looking at yours, it wasn't even something that I fully realized until I was going piece by piece earlier this week. And even now, just talking and realizing, yep, that's on brand of just, EverQuest. It's an older thing. Your artistic style, a little bit older. The stuff with, HTML, the aesthetics that you have for the website itself, the way that you've done all of the different worksheets and everything, that, like I said, even if you didn't realize it along the way, you are very consistent. And that might be part of why things have gone so well, because brands are a thing for a reason. And when you have something that is unique and iconic, and what works in your favor is that it's all stuff that, going back to nostalgia games, that people recognize, that you look at that site and you look at those worksheets, and it doesn't look like it's poor quality. It looks like it's older quality.
Yeah,
but it all
and it
fits.
It doesn't feel faked, and it doesn't feel artificial, because it's not coming from, I don't want to say it's not coming from a sanitized or it's not coming from a think tank.
Yeah.
Or anything. You know what I'm saying?
It's clear that this is all you.
Exactly. It's just, I always say, I just do what I can, and it's like, you know, I do what I can and I play off what I know, you know? And I know silly worksheet. I don't know, you know? It just I try to think about what I would like or what I would want to do or what I would want to see, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's
And
very emblematic of just successful content creators in general. The people who know themselves and what they enjoy and are able to create something that they would like because one, it's what they know best, and two, it's what's gonna, like you said, be most genuine. And
yeah,
then it's just a matter of people with those similar tastes, or at least the open-mindedness to try that taste, to find, and the combination of you being consistent in that way and the fact that it is just a little bit offbeat, so there's very few others that are anywhere close to the type of content that you make and the type of style that you exude. So that also just, doubly works in your favor. And the fact that you're hitting that itch that everyone has for nostalgia, it all adds up.
thank you. You flatter me. But it's just very funny, especially once you get to the point where your audience learns what you like, and it's like when they suggest games and stuff like that, and they're like, I saw this and this just feels like a meat game,
Mhm.
and people have said that to me numerous times when they're like, this just feels like a meat game, this feels like a meat game, this looks like a meat game. And all the games can be so wildly different, but somehow I'm like, yeah, you know what, that is a meat game, that's a game for me. So you never know what you're gonna get, but it's all gonna somehow fit and tie back into the whole meal, the whole meat, the whole entree.
Hmm. Speaking of, hey, family restaurant that I said you need to have just Meat's Cave restaurants where, there's a couple of places that will serve meat on a bone like that. But once again, fewer and farther between. But there you go. If there's franchise rights available in the future for a Meat's Cave restaurant, like, I don't know if I'd want to run it, but like, I'd invest in that. I'd invest in that.
We could do like a Planet Hollywood or something. Or you know what? VTubers have had collab cafes. Just give me a meats cafe.
Pop-up cafe, yeah.
Cafe collab.
There you go.
Give me a week. We'll make some funky little themed beverages and meat themed dishes, and then it'll be a good time for everybody. Put some cartoons on the TVs in the restaurant.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Everybody gets a placemat. It'd be a good time.
Is cooking something that you enjoy in real life, or like, personally, I'm a very lazy cook. I do not cook a lot, and certainly nothing fancy. I've had a few guests that are really into it, others aren't. Is that something of interest to you?
I like the idea of cooking. I love watching cooking shows. I like watching like the competitions. I like watching I think tiny miniature food is just one of the cutest things in the world, I like cooking in theory, but then I don't do it as much in practice as I
think
should.
you just described me better than I described myself, frankly. But I like the idea of cooking. I don't have the patience to put the time and effort in that is required.
Like, I want to do like the mise en place. Like I have the idea of wanting to take the time and slow down and do it, but when I start
there's so much
doing
stuff. There's so much stuff to do.
I'll do like half of it nice and slow, and then I'm like, okay, the second half, like, let's just get this over with. Let's get this out,
Yep, I absolutely identify with that. Mark7 in the chat also has that one last piece of, going back to fluffing you up a bit because, hey, you're pretty darn cool, Meat. And that's been saying that even though they haven't played Spy Fox or Putt Putt, that you just have a very good personality and create a fun environment on stream. So for those people who don't even have the nostalgia, that people can tune in and have a good time, and that you have just as many people coming to stream just because of you.
Again, it's all, I'm learning how to take the compliments better, you know.
For what it's worth, I can assure you that every VTuber has that problem.
I think we all, again, we're all the same. We all hate, I think every VTuber hates answering their messages, and every VTuber is varying degrees of okay with taking compliments. But
and nobody has a good sleep schedule.
Oh yeah, that either, because either you're streaming or you're watching streams. That's the eternal problem. But it's just, that's really what I want at the end of the day. Another reason behind the worksheets was because at the time you know, when you're first starting out, you don't know what your schedule ideally is going to be. You know, currently I stream like 3-4 days a week, but I think at the beginning I was pretty strictly doing 3, and I wanted something for people to have to do, because, you know, it was like I said, it started because, you know, also, you know, people are bored on Fridays. You know, Fridays might be a day where someone's feeling a little lonely, a little down on themselves. So, you know, give people something fun to do. But also I wanted the website originally to be an experience of, you could have the meet stream experience without having to be at the meet stream. If I'm not online, and that also, you know, when, you know, I didn't have a ton of VODs that, you know, you could go back and watch, or there wasn't, you know, a ton of content. It was like, you could go to the website and, you know what, there's the fun zone. Just do some of the puzzles, do some of the worksheets. You've done them before, do them again a different way. Come back next week to see what there is. It's all part of, I guess, you know, again, it's all part of this package that I've partly created. But I like meets. I know that now, you know, especially since I'm, you know, changed to just meet on Twitch.
Yeah, I had to change that. I have the bottom bar here on screen, and I prepped things early on, Meets Cave, and I got to shorten the Twitch link because you got that update.
But it's still very much like Meets Cave. Like, you're coming, you know, it's like the Magic School Bus. You're getting on the Magic School Bus. You're coming into Meets Cave. You're coming into Meets Cave to hang out and chill out and have your good time, you know? And it's just because the stream's over doesn't mean the doors are closed, you know?
Well, 2 things. First off, that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, going back to my marketing branding brain, that whether you meant it to or not, that is exactly what good brands do. That they create the multiple touch points, and they have, sorry, the audio bar just looked like it cut out for a second. Chat, make sure that you can still hear me. Let me know you can still hear me.
I can hear you. They said audio cut.
All right. I think we're back now. That was weird. Okay. Cool. Alrighty then. But yeah. So, like I was saying, one thing that brands do is just having those different brand interactions and the ability for someone to interact with the brand even if the normal venue is not available. So in this case, when you're not streaming, that you have the website, that most people have social media, and that's sort of the go-to nowadays. And that, you know, obviously Twitter content, TikTok content, what have you, is very real and very significant interaction points. But the fact that you went the extra mile and have this website where you're developing really unique content with these worksheets and all these things, and having that consistency of, all right, I know it's Friday, so I should go to the website. And I'm sure if you check the site's analytics, at least for the time that you were doing those weekly updates, I bet good money that you see that spike on Fridays and Saturdays when you have those uploads, because people, again, at least for a time, get used to it, and that becomes a schedule, it becomes a habit.
Yeah, and again, that rolled into Silly Saturday, because you would have like your fun little worksheet on Friday, you know, and then you have Silly Saturday, and then we'd be like, okay, you know, did you guys enjoy the, you know, everybody got to, you know, put their but they're, in the comments on Twitter. So it's like everybody got to show off their thing. It's really, really, really something I would like to bring back. But again, that's also something that the freedom of having this little wiggle room with a website gives me is, I need to, again, it's due for some updates, but again, just having a community gallery on there, or having, just other things that you might not have. You can go back and see these things. Like, even though it's not currently updated, you can still go back and see
this whole
all the
archive and
artwork from the
backlog is
first
all there.
Yeah, exactly. You can see all the artwork from those first 2 community streams we did and all this other stuff. And it's just something nicer, and I don't know, it's more like I feel like websites used to feel very much like your bedroom almost, or your house, or in my
It was social media before social media. That's where you went when you were online and you wanted to get content of one form or another, that you went to whichever websites you liked and looked to see, all right, what's the update? Whether it be, something like Toontown or Neopets, or, your
exactly.
favorite gaming news site, or anything like that, Newgrounds, what have you, to see what's new, that it's part of your regular check-in on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
Also, I'm not sure if it was deliberate or another happy accident, because it only just clicked for me as well, but whether the alliteration of Silly Saturday was because you honed in on silly as the word of choice and then paired Saturday with it naturally. I'm not sure if it was because Saturday happened to be the day on your schedule that worked best, but
I think it was a little bit of both.
But what is it that most people grew up with doing on Saturdays? Watching cartoons. It goes back to cartoons. It goes back to nostalgia. It all fits together.
Saturday was always the best day of the week. It was always the day you looked forward to. Like, yeah, you looked forward to Friday because you wouldn't have to go to school anymore. But Saturday was like the day you you would have Saturday all day for yourself and to have fun. You don't have to get up early. You could stay up late the night before. You could stay up late that night. It's this whole thing. It's the whole thing.
And
it's
just the idea of, Saturday morning cartoons. That obviously yours is in the evening, but the idea of Saturday being the cartoon day.
Yeah, Saturday the cartoon day.
Just all works, and it was literally 5-10 minutes ago as you were saying something else that it sort of clicked me. I was like, oh gosh, I need to remember this, because it feels like another sort of big brain moment. I don't know if it was an accident or if you have been planning this, because like you said, you're doing all the right things. And it just, it keeps fitting together. And it's like, oh gosh, that's just another thing. It's another thing.
Maybe, I don't think I have ever done anything on purpose that was good. So.
Well, congratulations. You're either obscenely lucky, or you have, I frankly think the scenario here is just that you have very good intuition without even realizing it, because there's too many things stacking up here for it to be all happy accidents. One or two, maybe.
Well, hey,
anyone can stumble on one or two things, but the amount of points that we're hitting here, just even if you don't realize it, you have a very good mind for this stuff, Meat.
Amazing. I would have never thought. I do love it because it does, and I guess this does mean I have a good mind for it, because my problem my whole life was I had all these creative itches, I had all these creative urges, and I never knew how to apply them into anything. And I was very much you asked me in kind of our pre-talk if I had any hobbies or anything, and I was like, no, this is kind of it for me, because I'm able to take any urge I would have of just wanting to draw, but I'm not really an artist, or wanting to make something, but I don't know how to make this or do this or do that, and then I'm able to take these, what was always told to be quote unquote useless internet skills, and put them all together in one pack, and it's it's like the asteroid
The
hit.
happy accident here was
Yes,
the
yes,
existence
yes.
of VTubing as that perfect nexus for you.
Exactly. It was I guess this is my cave, I guess it was made for me.
I haven't read that story. I know what you're referring to, one of the Junji Ito stories.
Yes. It's
but
very good. It's short.
do know
It's
that
very
one.
good.
They're
Classic
speaking,
reference.
Yeah, speaking of adaptations, they're apparently doing a Junji Ito animation that's going to be on Adult Swim for Uzumaki, I believe, is the one.
Yes. Looking forward to that.
I'm not really into horror, so I'm probably not going to watch it, but I know a lot of people that are looking forward to that one.
And Junji Ito is such a unique, it's such a different form. It's more of that creeping horror that stays with you. It's not like a slasher,
No,
it's just,
no. It is.
So I definitely
it's
can understand. It's
existential.
stories that stay in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and all the more reason why I am going to politely pass on it. Horror is not my thing.
Of course.
But yeah, I know that for a lot of people that Junji Ito is like a staple in horror, and especially Japanese origin horror that does great stuff. And I know that there's been, I don't know if there's been anime adaptations, but various manga, and that very big name for sure. So I'm excited for people who like horror because I know it's going to be good for them, and I'll be over here just with the lights on.
Yeah. It's one of those things that it's not for you, but you can still completely respect it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, we are actually just at that 2-hour mark now. So we are going to take, how do you phrase it? If you could send us out, actually, because you have a great little spiel. I want to let you have it.
Oh, I don't know about all of that, but I usually say it's about 2 hours into the stream, so it is time for us to take our mandatory meathead break, which means you get to get up and stretch your legs and do whatever you want for about 10 minutes. You get to do what you want. What do you think they should do? What should they do in 10 minutes?
It was water the dog.
You can be whatever you want. It can be. I change it every time.
Water the dog. Take a walk. I don't know. Think of some new casting for your favorite video game. So come back to us with some of your own casting ideas, or just things that you want Meat and I to talk about when we get back, because we have some other topics already prepared, but always open to different suggestions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. We have a good 10 minutes of Rats and Bats for you to enjoy. We will be back in just a bit. Well, welcome back, everyone. Thank you all for sticking around. Hopefully you enjoyed the Rats and Bats during your break.
It's a mouthful to say. It's hard for even me on occasion.
I want to know the process of just making that masterpiece, of all the audio clips, and how they decide to make the beat, the backtracking. That it sounds like it was just you saying Rats and Bats once, I think, because it sounds like just the same one over and over.
Right. I mean, I think I said it more than once because I was, genuinely kind of rummaging around the cave, looking for the...
Actually, there is a
rats
slight...
and bats,
Yeah, there is actually a bit of a tonal difference now that I think about it. So, still, that'd be a fun little making of video that I don't even know if the person who made it would remember what went into all of it at that point, but
inspiration.
They probably had no idea that it would become the institution that it is today.
Exactly.
But anyways, welcome back, folks. Vtuber Talk here with Meat, and we're actually going to be going through the Mad Libs from the website that we were discussing earlier. So no cheating, and if you know it, well, I'll have no way if you know. Meat, do you even have this one memorized? Do you know where this one goes? When was the last time you did this particular Mad Libs?
I did just pull up the blank.
Yeah.
To refresh my memory. But I don't think I've done this, or I don't think none of the meatheads, unless they've just been going back and doing some old activities, I don't think any of them have done it in a while either. So it's very It should be fresh. It should be fresh.
Yes. So I've never done this or anything like this on stream before. It's an idea that I like. That when I did my charity marathon a couple months ago, I had a couple different things to have activities when guests came on and called in, and depending on how this goes, like I might just write a Mad Lib myself at some point, because this is an interesting idea, but it's going to be really dependent on chat. So if you are in chat, we need your help right now. I'm going to call out a part of speech, and I'm not sure it'll be either the first one in chat or the first good one
Whatever
that we
we
like.
see.
Yeah, whatever we see. So starting off, we would need an adjective.
Yes,
So-
we need an adjective.
It's
So
time for you to all
anyone-
brush off your grammar skills and remember what part of speech adjectives are.
Yes. Do you all remember what adjectives are? Adjectives are the words that describe things.
Silly, that works nice and easy for silly
is-
cave woman.
yes. Very good, delinquent as always.
Alrighty. Next up, we need an exclamation, and we're gonna say, doesn't need to be entirely SFW, but tasteful exclamations here,
Oh.
please.
Yeah, I think most people would give us a tasteful Too bad you can't use silly for both. And if we use silly for everything, we'd never get anywhere.
That's one style of doing Mad Libs, of just putting it the same thing in every slot and seeing what the result is.
It's true. Yes, that is another one. All right, what do we got?
Hopefully
I'd
folks
like
stuck
the
around.
amount. Oh, zoinks! I like zoinks.
Ooh, that's
There
a
we
good
go.
one. Okay. Zoinks is our exclamation. Next up is an adverb.
Now, I feel like even doing this, I had to remember what an adverb was.
I'm just thinking back to Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah. Because it would say the word. Well, I can't say the word before it, but you would be, it would describe how you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you have for us? Chat,
Slowly,
for
quickly. That usually, if it hasn't, cunningly. Ooh, okay.
Ooh, all right.
All right. Next up, we need another adjective. So something describing.
Yeah. Another nice meaty. Oh, that could be a good one.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah, meaty.
Yep. You're eligible for this too, especially when it's so accidental. Up next, a VTuber name.
Any VTuber name. Throw me a VTuber name, chat. Any VTuber. Pick a VTuber, any VTuber. Except for me.
Except
right
for
now.
meat.
Yeah. Except for meat. But any... Congo.
Congo.
Kururetsu. A great choice.
Another one in the Cave Tuber group.
Mm-hmm.
We now need a number.
Oh, yeah. A number. Any number.
Expecting one of a small list of answers.
52.
52. Okay,
I've
that
never
wasn't
thought
on the list that I was expecting. So thank you for surprising me, Manosphere. Next, we need
I would
one
have
more
never-
VTuber name.
I would. Another VTuber name?
Yeah.
Another VTuber name, chat. Do you have another VTuber name?
Yeah, I would have
Another
expected
VTuber.
52. I would have 42 was on the list of sort of expected numbers, but
But
So
52. Peony. Good choice.
Mhm.
Peony.
awesome. Next up is a website name.
Do you guys know any websites in chat? Have you ever been to a website, perhaps?
I don't know. Those things are pretty rare new tech.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if they'll ever catch on. Yeah, not the weed number or the nice number, Rackham.
Yeah, those were sort of the top two of, okay, I expect that to be where chat goes.
And then 42, for the obvious answer to everything. Facebook, that's a good
Facebook,
website.
okay. We're going to need another adverb. There's a fair few adverbs, so if you had an idea that wasn't used before, or even if you don't get one used right now, keep something in your back pocket, or suggest a couple, and we might just front load a couple, because I know there's one more adverb here. There's one more adjective. I
You
assume that
can
was
tell
supposed to be
that I was also
heartily.
going for maximum fun by giving you lots of blanks to fill out.
Of course, because you need these little, activities to take up a fair bit of time. It's no good if it's just happening, all in 2 minutes. That you want it to have its value there.
Yeah, you need to be entertained until the food gets there.
Exactly. All right, heartily, that works.
Yeah, we got hardenly and we got brazenly.
Ooh, okay. I'm actually going to put brazenly. That we need one more adverb, so I'm just going to slot that in right there because I like that one. Now we just need a plain old verb.
A plain verb.
Now, no forms of plain are verbs in and of themselves.
I know. I was trying to think. Well,
Crush.
what if you were planing a wooden surface? Or would that stay? Would that go under planing?
I don't know if planing is a word because there'd be flying a plane.
Planing.
These are the deep philosophical questions right here, folks.
Yeah.
We'll go with crush for our verb. Next up, we need an animal.
Ooh, interesting. An animal. Any animal.
The thing is, I have not actually looked super closely at this Mad Lib that I'm working currently. I have a little Word document because it's easier just type it on here than to put it on the actual image. So I don't actually know what we're creating right now.
I think it's a general story of my day, of a fictional meet day. A saber-toothed cat. That's a good one.
Okay. Next up is a verb. Once again, just a normal verb, an action.
Yeah, an action. Sleep. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
It's
now
necessary.
We need 2 nouns.
Two nouns.
A noun is a person, place, or thing. So I don't know if you ever watched Schoolhouse Rock. That it wasn't on TV at least when I was young.
Mostly in
videos.
Of course, everyone remembers like the "I'm just a Bill."
Yep.
I think I remember him the most, but I definitely did.
Conjunction junction is the other big one.
Oh yeah, conjunction junction. Oh, we got rock for one of the nouns. And then one more noun.
Rock's an interesting
Rack of ribs.
Unpack your adjectives. Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here. One more noun.
Did you get rack of ribs?
Oh, did not. Rack of ribs. Okay. A game name.
Ooh, a video game. A video game. What video game should go in the Mad Lib? What video game will be immortalized in this one of it? Tux and Fanny. All right, that was a good one.
I've never heard of Tux and Fanny.
It is a it was actually gifted by Delinquitch, but is a very similar to, I don't want to say a WarioWare, but it's a very hard game to explain, but it's got a lot of different mini games, a lot of different visual styles. Again, one of those games that's hard to explain, but still falls firmly under the umbrella of being a meat game.
Mm-hmm. Gex also sounds like. Did you hear the news that apparently they're doing? Speaking of adaptations, I read somewhere that that the rights for, I think it was a Gex movie, were being explored at some point.
I did see that. I've never played Gex.
I haven't either. I was surprised at all the titles that one is of interest to a studio, apparently.
Yeah, who knows? But, if they think they can do something with it, then, let me see.
Very few people are going to walk into it with expectations.
That's for sure. I mean, can you imagine? They don't want to get the Gex super fans angry.
Oh, yeah, that would cause a ruckus on Twitter. The last two we need are another number and another adjective.
A number and an adjective. What do you have? Glover. I played a lot of Glover. Not a lot, but I mean, I've rented it a couple times. All right, 25.
25, the reverse of 52.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that. See, it all works together.
And finally, we need an adjective.
An adjective. One final adjective.
Now I have
Toony. Or mesmerizing. Toony or mesmerizing?
I like Toony. But actually, you know what? Delinquent has had a lot of their suggestions going, so I'm going to let Seraphix have it with mesmerizing.
Gotcha. Delinquent is a long-time meathead.
Mm-hmm.
Very much knows the ropes and how it goes.
Yes. Also, I just realized one thing that I put into OBS earlier, but never actually brought up earlier. If I can move this, there we go. That I have a browser window that has the homepage of the Meet website,
yes.
just to give you an idea of this glorious thing. Not gonna go through and navigate all of it. You have that to look forward to yourself. But when I say that this is prehistoric tech built off of HTML, this is what you're getting yourself into. This is the beauty, the glory of meetscave.neocities.org.
Truly, my magnum opus, I guess.
So definitely be sure to check that one out. But now we do have, because I put it in here, we have the Meet Mad Libs. Hopefully you're able to see it. I wanted to make it as big as I could while making sure you could still see Meet herself.
Of course.
Let us read through this creation together. All right. One day, Meet woke up silly and it yelled zoinks before running cunningly to her computer. Her
sounds about right.
Her wallpaper was a meaty picture of her favorite VTuber, Congo. Meet actually has 52 photos of Peony on her computer.
I do.
I could believe that, for sure. After checking Facebook, she heartily... so that would be crushed, probably. She hardly crushed to hunt down some breakfast brazenly.
Yeah.
So she heartily crushed to hunt down some breakfast brazenly. Meet had a chunk of frozen saber-toothed cat left over from dinner.
No.
After a long day of sleeping and rock and rack of ribs,
yeah.
it was time to stream. Tonight, Meet was streaming Tux and Fanny. She was excited to play it for the first time. It was a great stream, and 25 mesmerizing meatheads were there to cheer her on. Yay!
Fantastic.
What a beautiful
the mesmerizing
story.
Meatheads really worked out at the end.
Yeah, gotta get that alliteration. Love it when you just stumble into that.
Yeah, the alliteration is very key to being silly. I think that turned out good. But again, it's just something so stupid and fun. And I've even just, when, had time to kill just at the end of a stream, there's, plenty of just like, type in the blank Mad Libs online. And it's just so fun to do them with chat, even just, just like we did, running and seeing, what options pick up and, just putting in the blank. And, it's one of those things. It's so silly. It's so
simple.
Harmless. It's like a dad joke. You're always, someone's going to get a laugh out of a Mad Lib at some point, because even if it's just, those two words don't go together,
We have the tier list meta. I'm waiting for the Mad Libs meta.
Exactly. Where is the Mad Libs meta?
Yeah. So thank you all so much for humoring us with that one. That was an idea that I had, and it was just like, I've never done a Mad Libs on stream, and it's just been years since I've done a Mad Libs at all. and I wanted to be able to show off one of the many fun activities that Meet has on her website. So once again, for this and other fine activities, you can go to meetscave.neocities.org.
Thank you.
Get this in the chat, cities.org. There you go. And also, I've been so busy, I haven't even given you a proper shout out. There we go.
Oh, there you go. As you can see, Sky Fox and Dry Cereal.
While we're at it, a shout out for Koki.
Thank you. Again, is the other half would not know what to do without.
Oops, that was the wrong one to put back up. There we go. Alrighty. You are most welcome, Koki. It's clear that you two have actually just, become very legitimate, very good friends. One thing we haven't even covered the entire show is the fact that this week was a very exciting week for you, and I mentioned having to change your URL, and that's because you hit partner this week. And
I did.
And I happened to be there when, I suppose, the news broke, because the first place you went was Koki's stream, because I happened to be tuned into her channel, and I was playing game, just sort of had it in the background, and I remember she started freaking out. It was, oh my gosh, me got partnered, sort of, snapped me out of my game for a moment. I was like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh.
And something's clearly going on this stream that I need to zoom my head back.
Something has happened here. And she was just so obviously thrilled for you. Everyone has been thrilled for you. And she had to tell you to tell Twitter.
Yeah.
Literally, it was Koki's stream first. That is where that is where the news broke.
Yeah. It's just that, you have that person and you're just like, I told Koki, so it's like, yes, that's the only person I
Yes, so very exciting thing, and I never try and line up for things like that, but it's always cool when things sort of fit in that there's something nice to celebrate.
Oh, I know. Could not have, and you know what? Honestly, that happened on Monday, and it feels like it's only been a week, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's only been a week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just, it's been ages, and at the same time, it hasn't, and I can only imagine it's been a bit of a whirlwind for you, to say the least.
I'm still waiting for the badge to, disappear the same way a gifted sub does or something, I'm like, that's here for this week, that's here for this month, but it'll go away, at the end of the month, like a gifted sub or something.
Yeah, you're gonna wake up from this happy dream at some point, but
Exactly.
Yeah. So, sorry to get sappy, but you earned it, Meek. You really did.
Thank you. Wait, again, it's one of those things, takes some getting used to, people saying, you earned this, but I'm getting used to it, and I'm starting to take my rightful stage, at the top of the cave, or top of the food chain, what have you.
Yes, indeed. So one thing that you have on your channel, that there was already the mention of the Toontown command. Mm-hmm. You have a couple of other commands. One of them that really caught my attention was ! Vince McMahon. Yes, ! Vince McMahon. Did you watch the video? Yes, I did. I have not been into wrestling for a very long time, but I have a couple of friends who for years on end have been diehard wrestling fans and have told me about wrestling, and I only recently actually saw my first pay-per-view. It was an AEW pay-per-view, admittedly, not a WWE pay-per-view.
Beautiful.
But I've seen my first pay-per-view, and I've been familiarized with, wrestling culture, and it's the type of thing that I grew up not being into wrestling. No one in my family was into wrestling. None of my friends were into it. So I didn't have much of an opinion on it beyond sort of a confusion of, I understand that this is fake. I don't know why people are so into it. And it wasn't until South Park, you mentioned South Park earlier,
right.
that they did an episode about wrestling, and it was called WTF, and I don't remember, it was the Wrestling Theater Federation, I believe it was, and it just sort of, it was all of them doing wrestling, but in Shakespearean verse.
Right,
And
right,
it
right.
took that for things to click in my head of, oh, duh, people aren't tuning into this, thinking it's true sport. It is hyper athletic theater.
Yes. And that's if I have to dumb it down, or not even dumb it down, but if I have to explain it like in the most basic terms to just, like average Joe off the street, it's like, you have the stereotype of, women want their soap operas. Well, this is it's just a soap opera. It's essentially a masculine soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And just, it's something that nowadays when my friends explain to me, different storylines going on or different drama, and some of it is real life stuff. Some of it is, as I say, I hope I'm using this jargon correctly, kayfabe,
yes,
or
yes,
just
yes.
written, that they are able to do these fun and engaging storylines with the wrestlers that have these caricatures. Some are deeper than others, but that at the end of the day, they are going through character arcs, that it is telling that story, and you have the stage combat and you have the wrestling, which is all very coordinated and choreographed, because when you're having people throw those types of punches
With
you
people
need
that size.
yeah, people that size, that it takes legitimate skill and rehearsal and good choreography to sell it, and to sell it while having as much safety as possible. And obviously, wrestling has come leaps and bounds in terms of talent safety over the years. That there's a lot of rewind the clocks 20 years.
Things that would not fly nowadays,
Yeah.
and just all over the place. But it's such a fun world to dip your toe in. And again, it's completely, you get a whole new a whole new appreciation after seeing it live. And also when you're live and you realize how massive these people are. They look big on TV.
Yeah, it's meeting a basketball player in real life and realizing, oh my gosh, this person's
a
7
monster
feet
of
tall.
a human. This is an athlete. When you see him on TV, you're like, oh yeah, that's a big guy. When you see him in person, you're like, oh, this is an athlete. This is a truck.
Yeah. That I can't call professional wrestling a sport because there's predetermined outcomes, but they are unquestionably athletes.
Oh yeah, 100%. And again, it's injuries are real. Injuries are real at the end of the day. And it does take a level of professionalism to be able to just execute things safely.
Yeah,
it's like people are like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of, backyard wrestling types, but it's like, that's the thing. They're able to sell you the illusion of the backyard, the illusion of the not safety, but completely safe.
Yeah.
If it wasn't safe, you wouldn't be able to watch it,
Yeah, and even though they are being as safe as they can, falls are still falls. They can't fake someone hitting the ground, and they have, the springs under the mat to help cushion the blow, to make it sound a lot worse than it really is. But when they hit the ground, they're hitting the ground. When they fall on a table, they're actually hitting a table. They have to endure some real pain and, build their bodies up to the point where they are able to withstand a lot of beating, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, literal beating, And then I think it's also just surely one of the best direct comparisons to VTubing you could get. People even adopt the term kayfabe into it because, what better way to describe things, or how to describe things to anybody. And it's very much your in-ring and off-ring persona sometimes.
I never even thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
It is
just because last week when I was talking with Barry that he actively uses the term kayfabe, and
Yes,
you're right
yes.
that it is a jargon term that has crept into VTubing, particularly Western VTubing. But even so, VTubing is very big in Japan. I don't know if there
It's
is
almost like,
if
but
there is a
also, where
Japanese
is
term for
wrestling very
kayfabe,
big?
but
In Japan.
yeah, it's all clicking for me now.
Larger than life personas coming out and doing the show and giving you this character, this performance, this whatever have you, leaving it all in the ring, and then you see them again next week.
hmm Now, one of the differences between VTubing and wrestling is that wrestling, or that VTubing, generally speaking, things that happen on stream are live and unscripted,
Yes,
and
yeah.
people's
Yeah, of
interactions
course.
are actual interactions with other people.
Right.
And for wrestling, that there is scripting done by third parties.
Right.
And a lot of the problem that you and many of my friends have with Vince McMahon is the fact that he is more involved than perhaps he should be in the narrative writing of WWE, and that his writing, where it may have been good back in the day,
Yes.
has not evolved with the times, has not aged well,
No.
and that he is not innovated. And then there's
No.
also the business practices of, letting go of 60% of your roster.
Yeah, he's very much still stuck in like the 90s, very much like, oh, you need a cheap laugh, well, we send out silly man in pink dress or something, very, if they could still be doing like, maybe bras and panties, or if they could be doing more salacious stuff on TV still, he'd definitely be the one doing it. And it just kind of seems like, I say in the video, but it's kind of like he's just a lich with a hold on this company.
And I suppose to give the full explanation for people who might not be versed, Vince McMahon is the owner and CEO of WWE, the largest wrestling promotion in the world, and it's not particularly close. That over the past several years, a new one called AEW, which is the one that I mentioned, I've seen a pay-per-view for. I think they actually had a pay-per-view tonight.
They
that
did.
I
was
realized.
that. They're actually having I don't know if it's still on. Well, it might be, but yeah, they're actually having a pay-per-view tonight.
And
I do think AEW is heading their way to be, a good. It's still fresh. It's fun. It's great. If so many WWE guys are there now, it can't be that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's been one of the big things of the written drama spilling into real life, that AEW is a creation of the past 5 or so years.
Mhm.
And the gentleman that runs it is named Tony Khan. He is the son, I believe, of, I forget the gentleman's first name, but the Khan that owns the Carolina Panthers. So
Yeah, I can't think of the name, but yeah.
And that what he has created over the past 5 years is probably now the closest thing that has ever threatened the just total dominance of WWE, or at least the first thing in a while.
Since maybe those primo,
Like,
90s years.
yeah.
Again, I grew up with like an approximate knowledge of wrestling. Like, I had some cousins who were boys, and during the general kind of Attitude era and stuff. I remember them having all the action figures and during everything. But I never really watched it. And then the past 10 years or so is when I really started getting into it. And it's just a fun world, really and truly. Again,
How
and
broke in the
you can pull
chat next
inspiration
rock.
from it.
It is Shad Khan and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had the wrong East Coast Cat NFL team.
Yeah, it's easy mistake. There's quite a few cat teams out there anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sorry to interrupt you, Meat, but so you were saying that was how you got into it, and that it's something that's been not super recent for you like me, but that it wasn't something you necessarily grew up with.
Yeah, it was something that, I kind of was like everyone else. I was kind of like, this is just, it's wrestling. What is it? But then I think it's kind of like, again, to make a VTuber comparison, it's kind of like you kind of start hearing about it, and maybe you catch an episode here or there. You see a little bit here, you see a little bit there, but then eventually, if
you fall into that rabbit hole. You fall into that rabbit hole.
Or you're gonna hear, you'll have one person come out there, and they'll just give, they'll, to use the terms, they'll cut a promo that just really speaks to you, or that just really gets you fired up, and you're like, hell yeah, you know what, this is pretty cool. This is like, I can feel the fire, and it, like, again, similar to a good stream.
Yeah.
You might not like VTubers, and then you find a VTuber, you see that one stream, and you're just like, this makes sense.
It clicks. I get it now.
Yeah, I get what everybody was talking about.
And in the case of WWE and on the other side there, AEW, that there are other wrestling promotions. There's New Japan World Wrestling, which is the big name over in Japan, obviously, but there are ones all throughout the world. But one of the interesting things in the wrestling world is that, as I mentioned, Vince McMahon and WWE have let a number of wrestlers go, particularly over the past 2.5 years. And a not insignificant number of them have been picked up by AEW. So you have this shift of talent and people who are fans of these wrestlers. So it's, once again, getting the VTuber comparison, it's not always the same character. Then in certain cases, the names are changed slightly. So Daniel Bryan was WWE and is now using his actual name of Bryan Danielson
I
in
think
AEW.
That's the silliest one to me. I understand. And I completely understand, and like I totally understand. I get it. But Daniel Bryan to Bryan Danielson, it's just like, I don't know. It's just one of those silly things.
The thing that gets me is his real name. Yeah, his real name is Bryan Danielson. The thing that sort of surprises me more than anything is the fact that they felt the need to switch it to Daniel Bryan in the first place.
Yeah. It's like, it's weird. It's strange. It's strange that they switched it in the first place, and it's strange that now makes his real name sound weird.
Sound odd.
Because you know him by the backwards name.
Yeah. Oh, Xrox in the chat says WWE wanted their version to be something they could copyright. I suppose that makes sense of being able to have that trademark, and that you can't trademark someone's name.
Yeah.
So that they would do that. Okay, that makes sense. But
thing over COVID, or over the pandemic, because people, naturally, they're in a very people-heavy business. They're in a very touring-heavy business. So when wrestlers started to look for, alternate ways to maybe make up the income, what comes to mind? If you're already playing video games, you want to hop on Twitch. But then they had this whole new frontier of, well, do we own the image of you? Just because you're not using your name, do we own what you look like when you're with us, And so that brought on a whole new thing, because there were several wrestlers who were streaming on Twitch, in the early days of 2020, making up things and having a decent time, and WWE ended up kind of putting the knock on that, because they, that's another income, and hey, if they can't monetize you, you're not monetizing yourself.
I didn't know that there was that particular angle. That I knew that a lot of the talent cuts had happened over the past couple of years, partially because obviously they lost a lot of revenue in 2020 and 2021. That I know that somewhere around like June, July, they started doing shows again. That from like March, April, May, there was just nothing. But then they started doing shows where it was just the talent, and then like 4 or 5 other wrestlers just acting acting the crowd. And I saw a couple videos of that, and it just felt weird frankly.
Yeah, it felt weird, but at the same time, it's like, well, you kind of got to respect them for what they're.
Yeah,
You gotta. They're
and it's better
trying.
than nothing. And they had to do something to keep the lights on. And certainly, I don't begrudge the folks that you could see they were very clearly socially distanced. That it was usually 6 to 8 people just dotted around the ring, and in some ways, it felt like instead of having this big grandiose stadium fight, it almost felt like a back alley fight where you have the different members of the gang, egging the people on and cheering in that way. So it felt very different, and it certainly didn't feel as good in my opinion, but I don't begrudge them for trying and for taking that avenue, because honestly, what else could they do at that point?
Yeah, because it had been months, and you simply had to do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the era of streaming really brought in the whole interesting thing of, do they own your image while you're under contract?
Yeah, and that's been something that's been a big question in sports, just broader for many years, in terms of video game revenue, or the entire concept of being able to promote and monetize your own image for college athletes, which only recently has started to become something that's viable.
And I don't know, there's I think that VTubing is a good way, it's a good loophole, I think it's a loophole that
I hadn't even thought of that angle. That's how wrestlers, if they can't get their own image and likeness, that they can use a new image and likeness.
Yes. See what I'm saying? I think it's a very viable avenue. That VTubing is so new as it is. I know it's so easy to say for people that to us that have been in the hole a year, 2 years, whatever, people that were super early, what have you. We're still on the cutting edge, ahead of the average. You go ask random person on the street, what's VTubing, what's a VTuber, they have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of, I guess, obviously, even just anybody can have a show, there's a lot of interesting entertainment opportunities that can be explored.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just fun to see where the medium goes.
Yeah. And the issue that a lot of people take with Vince as the CEO, that not only has he made some employment decisions with cutting a lot of very popular talents, that he also has his thumb on the writing team scale a lot.
Yes.
If you're into sports and NFL, or really any sport, that certain owners are very hands-off and they let their coaches run the teams. Then there are other teams that the owners are very involved, some even having the title of general manager or something like that, where they're making these personnel decisions and dictating where the team goes. And others are just, I own this business and I sign off on checks, but I employ these people to do their jobs, and I'm not going to do their job for them. Vince is one of those that is very hands-on. And
exactly. To where it is a detriment to the company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one day, it's just the definition of like the last clutch doesn't know when to unfurl, or when the baton should be passed for the good of maybe even the whole company.
Because to his credit, he built an empire.
He did, but he built his empire in a different time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with certainly different morals and different all kinds of different things. And then he's also very spiteful, and that's also probably one of the worst things about him, because if you do something he doesn't like, he's the type to pull a ridiculous executive decision to
mess with the narrative, to write you off the show or demote you effectively. That since the writing team determines who wins and loses the matches, that for someone who has that executive authority and is not afraid to influence the writing, that he can literally determine people's contracts and their path as a wrestler. Because even if the audience understands, all right, we know the talent aren't in control of who wins and loses, that inevitably those who win more are going to have stronger personal brands and are going to be more widely recognized, get more sponsorship or, promotional opportunities. And that if Vince decides that you've slighted him and wants to be vengeful, that he can have you start losing match after match after match.
And he certainly will. He will put you in, like I said, he'll march you out there and he'll have you be humiliated for, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever, until he feels like you've learned your lesson. And this isn't, me having some inside knowledge on wrestling. This is just all like very common knowledge.
Yeah,
like,
these
people, it's almost like they're not even afraid to speak about it at this point because it's such an open secret.
Yeah.
Such a miser. And just when you get to the point that, you're just messing with like real life people's relationships, or, having...
You hear of these changes happening the day of the show backstage, that, word comes down, and the result of this match, that what you have rehearsed is now changed.
Yeah, just because, the wind was blowing to the north today or something.
One other thing that people are mentioning in chat that I didn't know is that apparently there's no healthcare benefits for his employees.
Oh my gosh, I would believe it. I would believe it.
That's messed up. That's actually messed up.
Very little healthcare, because I know, obviously, I don't know, but on the TV show, they do show, them getting like your basic medical facility. But I wouldn't. But I wouldn't believe if you told me that Vince McMahon did not give you one more inch of a benefit than he had to legally give you just to hire you or to contract you, or however he does it. I would fully believe it. Yeah. Independent contractors don't get health benefits. See, it's insane. But then again, he was having these people, you're independent contractor, so you can't get these benefits. But also, while you're out of work, you can't try to stream or, try
non-compete clauses and such.
Yeah. So he really locks you in to this. And so it's no wonder that not only are all these guys almost escaping now that they have a viable option that's actually staying afloat, but it's almost not a, I guess it kind of shows that they're all some of them seem to be sticking together, so it's not even like, oh, these guys don't like each other or these guys don't work together well. It's simply the company
management.
Yeah, the management.
Because there have been some cases where if WWE terminates the contract, that it means that non-compete clauses are voided. So there have been a handful of cases where there's been layoffs, just to put it bluntly, layoffs of a number of people, and that they will appear the very next week, sometimes even within days on other wrestling promotions. But then there's other situations where wrestlers will terminate the relationship and they will sort of go off the grid for 3-6 months. And then, some people who are particularly savvy might be counting days and being like, it's going to be 3-6 months. And that, as soon as that clause is over, that they pop up on one of these other promotions because they quit and they're like, all right, I can't work here anymore for one reason or another, and I will bide my time for the duration of this non-compete clause. And that the other promotions are all too happy. And it's sort of a case of WWE for a very long time has been too big to fail. But
exactly.
The status quo has changed.
Had no other competition because they bought out all of their competition, and then anything else was just either you can't go against the Goliath every single time, especially when the Goliath has been rolling in money since the 80s. So it's literally, these other companies throwing pebbles until AEW came around.
Yeah, and I think it's been a combination of factors that have led to their rise. Of one, it seems that Tony Khan knows what he's doing,
Mhm.
and that you don't hear a bunch about it. That there have been, from what I understand, one or two small scale things that maybe there were a couple talents that didn't work particularly well, but on the whole, uh, just wrestlers break kayfabe on Twitter all the time.
Oh,
They are
yeah.
very open, and that I guess for all the stipulations and restrictions in the contracts, that they are not prevented from speaking openly in public when they're off the air,
Right, right.
and that people have been pretty blunt of things aren't that great with Vince, and that it seems that AEW, at least for the time being, is doing everything that that WWE isn't. And
Right.
it's created this very interesting shift in the balance of power that no doubt WWE is still on top. But it's been a very long time, from my understanding, that there has even been a question of a marginally, relatively close competitor,
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
AEW, for the first time in a long time, is making AEW, eh, presenting a challenge to
Right.
their dominance.
It's kind of like wrestling for a little bit was kind of like pizza. It was like WWE was kind of the best pizza you could get. And there were other pizzas around, but finally another good chain finally came to town, so everyone's ordering pizza from over here for a little bit, and now the other pizza place has got a competitor that's bringing in some new fresh ideas, and everything might not be a perfect 10, but it's bringing something other than just a pepperoni and cheese to the table.
Yeah, and amidst all this, Vince has to be aware that he currently occupies the role of a villain. That he has to know that
But he probably
he can't.
loves it. He's just the
Yeah,
right
that's the thing,
type
though.
of
That
person
he
to be a comical villain.
I guess he just revels in it, and that he's so confident in WWE's continued success that, all right, even if AEW now, spitballing numbers here, that even if it used to be that WWE represented 90% of the market,
Mhm, mhm.
and now they represent 70% of the market because AEW has grown so much compared to anything else, literally anything else, but that he's so confident that, all right, you know what, fine, we'll let them exist. I don't care. I can keep going on and doing what I want. And if I have to play the villain, if I get to play the villain, so be it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Even if they are a successful business, that I don't think that he considers them a legitimate threat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Again,
think so, but I feel like he should.
it's still too big to fail. I don't think well, I mean, I know WWE isn't gonna go anywhere for a very long time. A very
Yeah.
long time.
Oh, Hidden Tome,
Oh,
thank you for the raid.
welcome.
I just got slimed.
Ah!
Welcome on in, Raiders. I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk. I'm talking with the wonderful Cave VTuber Meet. We've just been jamming about wrestling and sort of talking about the state of the industry at large. Just a very long story short, WWE has been the big bad bully on the play yard for many a year, and now they've got the plucky upstart AEW, starting to just maybe be that anime protagonist who has a chance to take down the big bad.
Exactly. That's 100% it is. Goku is finally here to try and go up against the big bad. And you know, it might take a while for him to win, but we'll see. You see what happens.
At the very least, it's
It's a
giving
good
these other options, and that meanwhile, the whole reason that this came about is because, as we mentioned, you have this good 7-8 minute video where it is just you just laying into Vince, and you selected quite the picture for him, and
Yes.
but that Vince himself, for being this CEO who has legitimately built something very, very big and successful, and even if he's not running it so well nowadays, that he has always been a larger than life personality, that even in the heyday, he's always been hyper involved. And to his credit, part of him being hyper involved back in the day is probably what led to the success. And it's just that he doesn't realize or accept that he's lost.
And I think that's what it boils, except that it's not, even if, okay, of course things change, over time and everything, but, you could arguably say that before the internet, things were, or before this big boom of the internet, things were pretty, 70s, 80s, 90s, you could pretty much run things generally kind of the same sort of way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, and then before that, 50s, 60s, it's business, and it's just, it's working for, if it worked for so many years, so many decades, it's gotta be really hard to finally accept that the world is changing around you, you know?
That I can understand that it's difficult to, like you said, accept, all right, that he's lost his touch, especially after building something so big and having it be so successful that
no one could compete.
That a combination of pride, a combination of it earned, and some of it just being that he's not being self-aware, I think. And I think that's something a lot of people feel, but frankly, like you said, it's so big that it's going to take even more than all these things we have, which would, under normal circumstances, just topple a company in very short order. But WWE remains number one.
Vince would have kneeled to so many of the controversies or, anything in the past, but again, it's almost like he does get to be that unapologetic, bigger than life, millionaire villain kind of role,
There's going to be a lot of interesting documentaries made about that guy. Just, you can make a bunch of them now, and he's not a young man anymore, for sure.
Behind the scenes, tell me everything I don't know.
And that's the thing of just, we know a lot, but we have to realize that for all the things we know.
It's just like the MTV used to say on Diary. What was it when, they'd go behind the scenes of a celebrity for a day or a month or whatever, and the tagline was, "Oh, you think you know, but you have no idea," because you think you know the life of these celebrities, but you don't,
Yeah, and I'm sure that those types of documentaries are inevitably going to happen eventually, and it's just sort of when and how much, because even when you get those inside stories, you seldom get truly everything.
Oh yeah. Or you know what? One will come out, and then 5 years later, there's gonna be one that's new and updated and has like 5 more minutes of footage.
Yep.
I did see about that interview, X-Rock. I need to, I want to watch it. I saw the clips of it that they showed on the actual show the other night, but I didn't see it. Yeah, after he's gone and when all the threats and the lawsuits...
that's going to be the thing of how much of it is, for all the stuff that isn't locked under NDA.
Yes.
How much is locked under NDA, and how much of that will either, expire or be allowed to come out in one form or another that... will, like I said, he's not a young man anymore. And for all the things that Vince McMahon has done wrong, we do not wish bodily harm on him. We absolutely do not wish bodily harm on him.
Not.
But it's the type of thing that you think about, all right, eventually everybody goes, and that would it be a thing that his estate would say, all right, we'll let whatever wants to come out, because goodness knows that it almost feels like that would be the final in character thing, frankly, Vince McMahon, of that one thing he's very good at is making money and promotions. And for his legacy to be, that final big promotion of, all right, we're going to let everything out. And even if it means that he's painted as the villain for history, that he's going to be a big villain. And we're going to make sure that, he has a legacy one way or another.
That would totally be him, like that would be like, how people have they have the switch, if anything happens to them, they just, all their files get deleted. The Vince switch just automatically this tell-all documentary, as soon as he flatlines, it hits streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
Yeah, the dead switch.
Because it, honestly, that it just in a business sense, what would be greater and grander and bigger than saying, all right, the idea of really any type of celebrity, frankly, and whether it be positive or negative, to say, all right, said production company is working with celebrity and that they're updating this documentary once a year in perpetuity, and that it is set so that, every year they have the new cut of it ready, and that whenever the subject passes, that immediately, like you said, up on streaming, because this isn't even something that would be viable until the past 10 years or so, that you could say, all right, we might have a film ready, but then we'd have to do promotional tours and we'd have to, find a date for it to be live in theaters. And by the time it gets released, you're 8 months past the event. But now you could do that type of just release of, okay, so-and-so has passed, the life and times of so-and-so available now on Disney Plus, on Paramount Plus, so Netflix, what have you.
Always almost try to crank out, almost irrelevant clip show, as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really doesn't seem that far-fetched that, you could essentially buy the exclusivity rights to someone's, footage, it doesn't seem...
Documentary biopic.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like such a crazy idea nowadays, to where you could definitely see, just there's so many, especially so many actresses and actors and stuff, people that are getting older that, are definitely going to be, that would really want to preserve themselves in that medium in the first place. I think that could be something.
It feels like a really logical evolution of just documentaries, frankly, because one thing that has existed for decades, if not longer, in news media is that most news organizations have just ready-to-go obituaries for, top 500, 1,000 celebrities of, just movie stars, politicians, athletes, what have you, that if somebody's big enough, that in the event of a catastrophe, that they have something on file ready to go. It is a common thing in news organizations. And for an obituary, that's not a huge amount of investment that you can have a 2 to 5 page article written up, ready to go and be published at a moment's notice. To do something of an actual documentary is obviously a much larger scale, but at the same time, for particularly big names or for people who might want to even fund it themselves and say, I want to, make sure that my legacy is cemented in that whenever I pass, that, I want to make sure that the last things people remember of me are positive, and that, if I've had controversy or something, that I want to, make my last statement something that is positive, and that they might even sort of try to, I suppose, doctor their image a bit, potentially. Or in some cases, just say, I want to make sure that culturally I am remembered, because, that's the one thing that we can never guarantee, and that's, are we remembered? To get a little bit real for a moment.
Yeah. But, even as topical and as relevant as Betty White, for example, they just released her last Snapchat video, you
Yeah,
know?
and that unfortunately for her, that there was already in the plans centennial movie, like documentary event that was in the works, and just sadly she passed some 3 weeks before her 100th birthday. I don't actually know what they wound up doing with what was lined up, if they just aired it as planned or if they made some last minute edits, but that, you know, you have things already happening for big birthdays or for significant events like that.
People that for the obvious ends. I mean, obviously, no one. So many things are unpredictable, but you can never count on. Obviously, that shouldn't stop you from planning ahead, but you never know. And so it seems like something celebrities would do. Just, I think we've come up with an
Like
entirely new
we
concept. I've got the
like
hiccups.
this is a huge, like, cultural, like, evolution of media that we've stumbled upon here, Meet. That now that we're talking through it, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened yet, and I feel like we're going to see this. That as much as I want to say we're the first people to think of it, I don't think we're going to be the first people to think of it. There has to be someone else that has come across this, because it feels really natural, especially in today's day and age where, one, streaming platforms are able to instantaneously release something and have it go viral, and that all the technology is in place to allow for this.
Well, even just something as simple as scheduled posts, people who might know something is going to happen, or, might have had an illness that, they didn't want to disclose to the public, but, then having a scheduled post, be able to go out on a certain date, or have a, some people have written, essential articles, to be released when they, open as an open letter kind of format when they pass away. And it's I think the natural progression. I mean, how did entertainment start? It started by people talking, and then started people writing it down. So, people writing books on their lives, and then people writing posts about their lives. And so I think the next thing is, what better way to control the
narrative
of your content there at the end than to make the agreement to release it on
just
the event of your death.
Obituary documentaries.
Yes. That's a crazy tangent, but that was a wild
Holy
one.
cow. Yeah, and like, holy cow. Like, there's legitimate business opportunity there. Like, there could be a company that just the entire thing they do is this type of documentary, because goodness knows there's enough people out there that would want to do it, and that everything that they would do would be just the compilation of the information, the production, the pre-planning, having, all the promotional assets prepared, and just, like I said, sort of doing annual updates. So, every year it's one thing updated, and just whenever things happen that it's good to go, that almost part of having a will or having your estate planned, that celebrities and politicians have that, and that some company would need to do that. And it feels like such a specialized thing that you could make a production house that just deals in that sort of thing, because goodness knows that people come, people go, and as long as society is standing, there's always going to be people in those positions of that level of fame and notoriety that would want that it would be, you're never going to be out of potential customers for that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like a doctor. You're never running out of potential customers there.
Holy crap, Nate. Did we just create a small industry?
Probably, and then we won't get any credit for it.
Oh, absolutely not. We'll have this stream. I'm going to make sure it goes up on YouTube, so for posterity, we'll be able to point and say, hey, we did think of that.
Hey, we thought of that. We thought of that.
Oh dear. And that was all from wrestling. But yeah, wrestling, I think it's Trevor Noah who has a little rant that goes, wrestling is better than everything you like. Of just, it is this crazy big production. It's larger than life, that there's drama, real and manufactured. There's action, there's comedy, and that it's such an interesting performance arc because it's
It is.
really unlike any other.
And I won't say, every VTuber is a wrestling fan, but I will say you meet a shocking amount of people. A lot of VTubers that are into wrestling. There's more crossover than you think there would be. And especially even just in wrestling and anime fans, and therefore wrestling fans that are into VTubers. It's a weirder overlap. It's more overlap than you would think, and probably more overlap than some other areas, because if you think about it, someone with a mind, someone who's already been watching anime, or someone who's already been watching VTubers already has that almost, I can suspend my disbelief of these men having these fantastic powers, or, being able to do this and do that. And so again, it's just a big thing. It all works together in some weird, funky way that makes the world go round.
Yeah. And in terms of, I suppose, some of your favorites, so do you have any favorite wrestlers, first off, regardless of if they be from WWE, AEW, or any other promotion?
I would say I have a soft spot for a very specific era of Seth Rollins. He's still wrestling under WWE. He was part of a faction called The Shield with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose for a while. I really liked Seth Rollins' fame, or his arc he had after The Shield, where he had the half black, half blonde hair. He's just a good villain guy. They've got him kind of doing a villain guy now, but it's just not the same. And then I also I really liked there's been I think Seth Rollins is probably one of the main ones that comes to mind, just because I know that he's a weird choice, but when I was getting into wrestling several years ago, he was one of the first ones that got me hooked.
I'm not deep enough into that rabbit hole where I can say I have, for lack of a better term, an Oshi, or just, a wrestler that I really am a big fan of. I enjoy the narrative and the overall production of it all. And I think that's sort of how I consume my media for the most part, because I don't know if I have a VTuber Oshi, truly, that I love seeing all the different characters and dynamics.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
there's so many flavors. Why limit yourself to just one sometimes?
Now, when it comes to VTubers,
selling yourself short if you don't get out of the box every once in a while with VTubers.
Yes, absolutely, and that's been one of, frankly, just the joys and pleasures I've had running Vtuber Talk, because the thing that I look for in a guest is simply, do I think that I can engage them in conversation for 2.5 hours, maybe more? That I've had some of the just craziest live wire guests out there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, like Bria Cookie Box or Olivia Monroe, that they are just hyper energetic.
Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of energy. I have heard of Brie, but very, very familiar with Olivia's. Such a sweetheart, though.
Oh, absolutely.
She
Love
seems
her.
like the type of girl that would just like run up to you and give you like the biggest hug and knock you over.
Oh, she's absolutely the type to do a tackle hug.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But she doesn't mean to knock you on your ass. She's genuinely that excited to see you.
And like our show, we didn't even we did a pre-interview where we discussed things and nothing came out of it. It was just she and I talked for an hour and a half on the randomest stuff, and actually, like, you and I had a small list of topics that we knew we wanted to cover tonight, and we've stumbled across a few more as we went. But
yeah.
Olivia and I she is off stream as she is on stream. It's not an act.
Yeah.
That's just how she is. And honestly, going in with no plan was the best plan. We had a great time. It was so fun. But then on the other end, like, I've had some who are just super soft spoken, who at first glance seem a bit reserved, and you might not necessarily expect that they're the type for a talk show like this. But I do pride myself that I think that I'm pretty good at getting people to open up and just be a little bit out of their shell. But at the same time, just because someone is a little bit quieter doesn't mean that they don't want to talk. That's just their style. That there's
Some people
absolutely soft-spoken energy, and those shows are just as fun for me. But, I'm always hopping around in streams, and I make an active effort to show up in as many of my past guest streams as possible. That bad news, meat, you're not going to be rid of me. I'm going to be popping up because
you are welcome. Don't worry. I look forward to it.
Because I don't invite anyone onto my show unless I legitimately enjoy their content and if I'm familiar with their content. But at the same time, it also means that every single week I always need to be going into new channels and new chats and exploring and finding these different flavors of VTubers, as you said, and just sometimes I'll find someone who I'm like, they are being the best version of themselves and they are doing very well. But I don't know if they're the type who do well on a talk show. I've had others that I think would do well, and I've approached them. They've come back and said, I don't enjoy doing interviews. They make me nervous, and I totally respect that. And I still usually hang around their chats anyways. But it's the type of thing that I am actively forced to seek out new VTubers all the time. And I should have known that because it seems so obvious, going in, all right, if I'm going to have a talk show, that of course I'm going to do it. But it's something that I didn't realize the active effort and also, frankly, just how fun it is to have to force myself, because I found this is episode 54.
Right.
And that's 54 VTubers that I genuinely like and would just tune into on the regular, no problem. And there's a lot of people who don't watch 10 different VTubers that usually you find some of your favorites and you stick around with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That honestly, one of my bigger regrets is that I'm not able to spend as much time with my past guests as I'd like, because, I want to be at all their stuff, but I also have to be checking out new people as well.
Yeah, exactly. And there's only so, but that's also kind of, I guess this isn't, so much a thing, but it's like, I don't think anybody should ever feel like they have to stream like every single day, because it's like a TV channel, no TV shows coming on every single day. What, the news? But, that's the beauty of watching streams, different days have different people, different slots, it's like the scrolling down Twitch is like the TV guide,
Oh yeah, that's a great analogy. The new TV guide. There's so many options.
Yeah. I click the VTuber the VTuber tag, and I scroll, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I know this person, I'm gonna check out here. Or, oh, I've seen them on Twitter, yeah, I want to check them out. Or, they're usually streaming when I'm streaming, but I'm not streaming right now, so I can check them out. It's just part of the fun of loving VTubers is getting to love so many VTubers for so many different reasons, for
Absolutely.
so many different moods, for so many different vibes, for I might not be feeling this today, but I can go over here and I know it's gonna be really chill if I want.
Yeah, exactly. Just that everyone has their own style, their own energy, their own vibe, and that you get to figure that out, and you get to figure out what flavor of the day you're in the mood for. And some people are very consistent. They're like, all right, I know what I like, and that there's these 5 channels, and I'm consistently in those channels, and I'm one of the regulars, and that's totally valid. And then there's me, who's jumping all around at usually 2 to 3 tabs open at any given time, and that's valid as well. And the fact that people are able to consume and enjoy, well, streaming as a whole, that obviously this is not limited to just VTubing, but that
exists in the first place is just magic,
Exactly. But when it comes to favorite flavors, I know that for you, when it comes to at least some of the, big agency VTubers, someone that actually has a not so sneaky little shout out on your website, that one of the scrolling, flashing banners that caught my eye, I think it was on the page with the Mad Libs, because you have different things on every page, but there
Yes.
was a very distinct shout out for Umaru Polka.
Yes, I do hold a special place for Polka. Definitely was not the first Hololive girl I was into or anything, but she kind of grew on me. And when she grew on me, I definitely gained a new appreciation for her and her approach to just silly, fun VTubing. She's probably also one of my biggest inspirations with the silly instruments, because she just also has a box of instruments by her desk of just slide whistles and rubber chickens and tambourines and just, too many things to count, she said. And it's fun to, it's almost fun to be the clown a little bit,
Absolutely. Who doesn't love playing comedic roles?
Exactly. And when we were talking about Scuff at the beginning of the stream, the quote from her that I quoted from her first song was, "A few falls are a part of the charm," and I think that's really true with VTubing. Like, it's everyone loves an underdog story, but even if you're at the tip top of your game, you're gonna, the tightrope, you're gonna slip a little bit sometimes, but it's part of the charm, and you just gotta get up and dust yourself off and smile and jump back up, on the rope, and keep the show going. It's all about how you roll with it too. And I think being a clown on a ball is a common image for Polka with her theming, but I think it also sums up the world of streaming as well. You're keeping all these plates spinning while you're balancing on the ball, and performing the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not sure about you, but I am not fluent in Japanese in the least.
No.
I'm not able to tune into her live streams. But one thing that I do look forward to is she has the Legend of Polka series,
Yes,
which comes out on the regular with complete subtitles, and they're so fun.
They are. They are so fun. And again, I'm glad that, I feel like for a lot of Hololive fans, definitely not the first girl that comes to mind, but just, again, the fact that the Legend of Polka can do so well and be so fun. For anybody who's not familiar with it in the chat, it is basically a weekly kind of variety show she does. It's not they're typically 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, I've seen anywhere from, like 11 to 30 minutes, and it depends. There was one where she had her manager go to the beach.
Yes, and they took Polka to the beach, but they were taking like her an acrylic stand, and she was back at the studio, complaining about how she didn't actually get to go to the beach. And just, it's such a cute little episodic thing, and she's the perfect person for it. So I'm really glad that they are giving. When you see her doing that, you get such a feel for her personality.
Oh yeah, and it's clear that she's having a blast.
Exactly.
It's not quite clear,
Yeah,
it's not clear what level that she writes or has the concept for each episode, but I have to believe it's mostly her, because the Hololive does a lot with managing their talents, but when it comes to the content outside of the concerts that are, the big ones for everybody, that the talent are, at least to my understanding, responsible for their own content, and that she's able to make these fun concepts. And I'm not sure, it doesn't feel like it's scripted, that she has the thing, and it's very cleanly edited and subtitled and everything, but that everything that's going on is, at least at time of recording, it is live, unscripted, and spontaneous. But she is just she very much embraces her role as a jester.
Yes. Because it is, again, like you said, it's obviously not too scripted, because again, they make content out of ideas of, we're gonna go through each other's purses, and she's going through like her assistant's purse, and she's going through her purse. It's just I like her approach to content making. It's just something that resonates with me, and it thinking with what my quote-unquote Oshi would do in mind hasn't led me astray this far, and maybe not everybody could say that. Maybe not everybody needs to be thinking, oh, what would my Oshi do in this situation?
What would the clown do?
Yeah, what would the clown do? She'd whip out the slide whistle and keep going,
Can we get a slide whistle, actually? Of all the many things, the many delightful features of your stream, that we somehow neglected the slide whistle. So, and now a live slide whistle performance by Meat.
There you go.
Inspired. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This and more can be yours if you tune into Meat's stream.
Yeah. I've got it as a redeem, for better or for worse. It's fun to... I'm one of those people that, I think that the chat experience is, part of the whole thing. And, I understand sometimes that, maybe some redeems should be turned off, but it's pretty funny to leave the slide whistle on with regularity, because you never know when they're going to pull it out.
Yeah, and it's a short enough thing that it's not like it's a 10, 15, 30-second sound redeem, that it's just there and gone, a nice little accent.
Yeah, I think my longest redeem is actually the one where the entire cast of Evangelion stands there and says, congratulations.
That is a fun one. We haven't even talked Evangelion.
That redeem I think it borders on... It's on the border of tolerable. If it was any longer, it would be completely intolerable, and I could understand people getting annoyed. But it's like... It's just the entire... it's like, of course, it's got a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. And then you also have the Cruel Angel's Thesis, where you dance and spin around.
I do. The classic. Evangelion, I don't know how it became an anime that I enjoyed so much, but it did. And I just simply think that it's neat. And I think robots are neat. And I think Cruel Angel's Thesis is a great theme song.
You're certainly not alone in all of that. It just so happens to be one of the biggest series ever.
Exactly. If so many people are right, how can it be wrong? Mm-hmm. I think it's, and also, again, with my fascination on like games and pop culture and early type of things, it's so different. I lost my train of thought.
Evangelion, really big series. A lot of people like it.
My need of loving such random things, the amount of random Evangelion tie-ins and pop culture and plastic toys and tiny stuff and weird tie-ins, that just speaks to me, I love theme parks and theming and just the spectacle of all these things that I think do come through in my VTubing, and it is it just, again, when you think about it, it's like it's so easy to say like, oh yeah, they like Evangelion, but it's so much more. It's like, I love the merchandising, I love how ridiculous it is, I love all these things about it past just like like, oh yeah, you just watch these few episodes. And again, it just makes sense. Like, what a silly anime to have so many things,
Yeah, it is. The reasons that it has become such a cultural icon are many. That part of it is because, I would say, the timing, the fact that for its day, it had some of the best animation that had been put to screen at that point. The fact that it was so grandiose and it did Monster of the Week really well, but then also built up this very complex, frankly, psychological narrative beneath the surface. Then there's the iconic, for better or worse, ending, and the way that it ended, with the studio running out of money and the last several scenes slowly deteriorating on their animation to the point where it becomes pencil sketches. And then suddenly, congratulations.
I know.
And then coming back with the rebuild films, and we finally had the conclusion to all that recently, actually, because there was first the rebuild films, but then there was the 1.11 and such. So there was these other ones, keeping it in the public consciousness just frequently enough, on top of being aired on Adult Swim and Toonami back in the day, having it so that it's there for enough people for long enough to create that, once again, sense of nostalgia, while also just occasionally having this big thing, and the fact that it was so big legitimately to start with.
Maybe I was the real instrumentality. Maybe I'm the Evangelion of VTubers. I'm just omnipresent enough, and just in the back of your mind enough with the nostalgia that I'll worm my way out in a few years with a full-fledged feature film.
There we go. That Meat is the VTuber instrumentality project.
Yeah, there you go. And it just, it's so funny to think about. It's, again, even in Evangelion, it's so funny how things work together and tie together in my weird life, because again, I actually got the honor almost of doing a VTuber collab with a wrestler, and
What?
we watched the final Evangelion film together on his YouTube channel. So what a weird world, to going from watching wrestling shows to collaborating with a wrestler as a VTuber, watching
Wait.
an Evangelion movie.
When did this happen?
A while, not right after the last movie came out. Jibbo, Great Black Otaku on Twitter, is a wrestler, a big anime fan, big Evangelion fan. Oh, August. His signature move, when he was indie, was like the Nico knee, like Nico from Love
Oh
Live.
yeah, no, okay, because I'd heard about someone having the Nico knee. So now connecting the dots here, but also just, we had a list of things that we were going to talk about. Evangelion wasn't on them. I did not mean to make it all come full circle with wrestling and everything here at the end. That was not even what I meant to do, but here we are.
I know. Hey, it's all a series of happy accidents. It's all happy accidents. It all returns to nothing. It all goes back to cave woman, right?
Yep. Like I've said, you are very consistent, and that it all ties together, even if it's not intentional.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Is the VOD of that available somewhere? So are you all doing a live reaction to it as you watch it, or are you discussing after watching it?
It was a live reaction while we were watching it. I believe it would be on his YouTube channel, as far as I know, and the stream itself happened in August, so it should be there.
I need to look that up. I still have not actually seen that. I've not seen the rebuild films. I've seen all of the original series, and I know I need to get around to the rebuilds. That's high up on the list of things I know I need to see, but haven't.
Exactly. They're different. They're fun. As they're different, as they're as fun as Evangelion can be.
Yeah, Evangelion fun is not necessarily the word I would use for that series.
Yeah. They're visually stunning, and honestly, just looping around to again the climate back at the beginning of 2020. There's so many scenes in the third rebuild that you can just tell were just designed to go on a theater screen. Just shots you can tell they made just absolutely epic and breathtaking because they wanted them to be presented on these huge screens.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost aches your heart that it didn't get to have the full vision. But they're gorgeous films, I don't really have any complaints. But then again, my favorite character is Unit 1 herself, because I just think that as a robot. Not as a robot, but I just think the you know how Evangelion has all its allegories and all of its drawings and all of its symbolism and such. I just think that Unit 1 is almost a beautiful representation of like femininity and like women's like a feral woman, if you will, which also goes into cave women.
It all comes together.
It all returns to nothing. It all goes to cave woman.
It all returns to meat, indeed.
Exactly. It's all, hey, we're all meat at the end of the day.
Oh my goodness. And we've been at this now for almost 4 hours, so I do want to let you go soon. I have just a couple final questions, but as we start to wind down, if you can start going around and looking for someone for us to raid.
I can do that. Let's see.
But while you're doing that, obviously, you have just recently reached partner. Once again, congratulations on that. Apart from that, do you have any particular goals for the remainder of 2022? We're still, only about a quarter through the year. That there's a lot of things to do, whether it be, something specific and tangible like release merch, or something a bit broader like, do a different type of stream. Is there anything that you sort of have on your list that you want to do this year?
Well, I recently, before I hit partner, I had a subathon to fund a VR headset and tracking, and I was able to fully fund that with my beautiful, amazing community, really came through and funded that for me. And I will be able to order that soon. And so I'm hoping that also, especially with Koki, I'm going to get to delve into the world of getting to make some 3D content, some VR content, getting to... I'm so everything like that. And so getting to take everyone on a trip on the next level besides like just watching a video, I'm very, 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 very much looking forward to. I've got merch in the pipeline that needs to get cranked out from the subathon. Things like, the ever popular Dakimakuras and stuff like that. But I'm just again, I told you, I'm just along for the ride, and the ride has been absolutely, cannot wait to see where the ride keeps going,
I'm certain the best is yet to come.
I hope so. I think for a rate, let me see how long this one's been going. Because I would very much... Let me see. Let me make sure. We got caught in the ad.
Well, I guess I will vamp for time while people are doing that. So I have one final question for Meat that I'm going to ask her once we confirm our raid target. But as we start to wind down, thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow Meat. We have her Twitch and Twitter down there at the bottom of the screen. If you feel so inclined, feel free to follow me here on Twitch. Twitter is just twitter.com/Vtuber Talk as well. I do these shows, like I mentioned, about once a week. I have next week's show already lined up. That one's going to be on Saturday. And, it's a different guest every week. So I hope you've all enjoyed. I certainly have.
I had a blast. I would like to raid Picky Channel.
Oh, Picky.
Yeah. We love Picky. She's doing her Antiques and City Pop night. And
if there's like an underscore and everything, or
straight up Picky Channel.
Pick, was it Y or I? Y and then CHANNEL. There's no underscore or anything.
No underscore, just Picky Channel.
Okay. And was it PICKY or EY?
PICKY.
All right, just want to make sure. I've accidentally had a raid start and stop, but before we do that, the last question I have, it's one I ask all my guests. What I can word. What does being a VTuber mean to you, Meat? And what I mean by that is not what is the definition of a VTuber, but to you, what does it mean to be a VTuber? I've had a variety of answers. Some people take it very clinically of, I'm an entertainer and my VTuber model is a tool in my arsenal as an entertainer. It's a mask that I wear to create content and entertain people. Others have very personal answers. I've had people say, it lets me get in touch with my inner child, or it lets me be something that I can't be in real life. But, everything in that spectrum and beyond is legitimate. But for you, Meat, what does it mean to be a VTuber?
What a beautiful question. For me, being a VTuber is realizing my full potential and learning more about myself and creating things I never thought I could create and having fun and creating VTubing is just making all your dreams come true. I don't know, it's just this magical portal that is great and beautiful and special, and I could not be happier I found it.
The reason I asked that question to all my guests is because, like I said, there's a different answer for everyone. Every answer is legitimate. And while I never know what someone is going to say, when they say it, it always makes sense. Because even just from the couple of hours we have spent together of, a saying that it feels like VTubing has been that nexus for a lot of your skills and interests in ways that you, in some cases, expected, but in many cases didn't. And so that answer makes perfect sense for you. A wonderful, wonderful answer. And thank you again for, one, being here tonight, for spending your time with me, for, your community coming in and being so supportive and welcoming. I've had a blast. I hope you have had a blast as well.
I have. Thank you for having me again. Thank you, Meatheads, for showing up.
Thank you, Meatheads.
Thank you. It's been fantastic. And you know what? I'm just honestly excited to have this to look back on,
Absolutely. Yes. That
maybe we can set a date for, you know what? We've got to start the living documentary somewhere.
Hey, there we go. And like I said, that I'm going to be doing my B movie script reading from my charity marathon on Tuesday. And if you ever need somebody to hop in for one of your script readings, you know how to reach me.
Yes. We'll have you on speed dial.
Absolutely. So thank you all so much once again. I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk. Meat, I cannot thank you enough. Everyone in chat, Meatheads, I cannot thank you enough. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to be doing the outro, but then we're going to be rating Picky, so stick around. Again, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you.